Welcome, everybody, to a brand new season of Next Level Gamescast. This is Season 2, Episode 1. This is a Level Up Network's monthly gaming talk show. I am one of your co-hosts, Andrew. I make the show Midori. And I'm joined tonight by the tech guru, Asian Vincent, 4756.
Hello.
And we will be joined by the voice, Jersey Tom, in just a little bit. He's running just a little bit late. Maybe even joining now? Is that what you're about to say?
I was gonna say. I think he's here right now. I think the feed's popping up and everything.
Well, okay, the feed's popping up.
There we go.
Oh, there it is.
Let me get your video in there, man. Hold on one sec. Let's get Tom up on screen.
There we go.
Just made it.
Perfect timing, man. Perfect timing.
Perfect.
Oh, what timing?
There he is, the voice. Jersey Tom, how you doing, man?
And good evening, everybody.
And unfortunately, Mike will not be able to join us tonight. We wish he could. We were planning on having him here, as you will clearly see throughout the show. There's a lot of things that were meant for him, but he just had to duck out kind of last minute tonight. But everything's okay. Don't worry. Everything's fine. But he had to duck out last minute. So it's going to be me, Vince, and Tom tonight, starting off Season 2 of Next Level Gamescast. Of course, Season 2 focused on Metal Gear Solid, which is really exciting. All three of us, big Metal Gear Solid fans. A lot of people in our community, big Metal Gear Solid fans.
As you should be.
As you should be. And it just kind of worked out that this week there's been like little Metal Gear Solid nuggets of news potentially going on. There's just little things happening. It's a good time to be focused on a season of Metal Gear Solid, which brings me to our merch. We've got our Next Level Gamescast Metal Gear Solid merch. It's one of the first ones that I've bought myself. I picked up our logo and the Metal Gear Solid fonts. It's like one of my favorites that we've put together so far. I just think it's turned out really cool.
It looks tight, man. It's a real fresh logo. I mean, they did a great job on it.
I want it now. I want it now. I can't get it.
I know.
Now.
Yeah, that is the one thing about Teespring, I will admit, is that the shipping delay is pretty considerable. But one thing I did do, and because you guys have provided your feedback on Teespring, for whatever reason, the Twitch subscriber exclusivity is not working the way it's supposed to. So I turned it off entirely. Anybody that was worried about that, or anybody that hit a barrier trying to get through that, you can try again now. I did turn that off for everybody. And let's be honest, I mean, pretty much every single person that watches the show at this point is a sub or is going to be gifted a sub in like 5 seconds. Yeah. Like,
with the way things run here, yes.
Yeah, with the way things run here, it's just the most generous community, supportive community. You don't have to worry about being a sub here too often. It happens pretty quickly. But how are you guys doing? I didn't get to really talk with you too much this week. We had our little meeting, but how's streaming going? How's life going?
It's
start with you.
It's going, it's just kind of getting back into things after coming back from vacation. Work has been busy as always, and I haven't really streamed that much. I've been kind of on and off with just my schedule and everything like that, but it's been good. Can't
What about
complain.
you, Tom? How you doing?
Doing good, guys. As most people who follow this show and follow me as well, I was having some issues streaming as well. Stuff comes up, stuff pops up, unfortunately. I'm staying busy with some other things going on currently, but we got some good things going on. Got my second dose of the vaccine coming up this Thursday.
Yes.
Everybody should, if you can, in your local area and you have an underlying medical condition, or if you're lucky enough where that stuff has been waived, go get the vaccine. Go get it done, man. That's the quickest way we're going to beat through this COVID nonsense.
Yeah, I got one dose. My second dose will be on the 23rd. Did the second dose hit you at all? Did it bother you? I keep hearing things about the second dose.
I will be getting my second dose this Thursday.
Thursday.
I've only gotten the one dose thus far.
Okay.
First dose I only got I got some pain in my arm and I wasn't able to like lift my arm up over my head. Because it was that painful, but like aside from that, like that lasted maybe like all of like a day and a half and then it was gone.
Yep. I had the same thing. The soreness was different from a flu shot for whatever reason, but yes, I do. Same to echo what Tom said. If you can do it,
it means it's vaccinated. Working.
Yes. One thing I actually did forget to bring up. Speaking of Metal Gear Solid, you guys want to might take a look at our new stretch tip goal and stretch bit goal, because we switched out Persona 5. It was going against Red Dead Redemption 2 for our stretch goal battle. I took out Persona 5 because every time I thought about trying to get through that, especially Royal, I just get severe anxiety of 150 hours devoted to Persona 5 Royal. Like, how the hell am I ever...
here wants to see you be a Japanese school student.
I just don't have the time. I don't stream enough. I just don't stream enough to do that. It would take me 6 months to get through Persona 5
It would
Royal.
likely be the better part of the year, yeah.
But Red Dead Redemption 2, 60 hours I think is reasonable. If I don't go nuts doing everything, I probably could get through Red Dead Redemption 2 in like 60 hours. And something that would be a similar time frame to that, speaking of Metal Gear Solid, is the entire Metal Gear Solid saga, except 5. I'm not going to do Phantom Pain, but if we get to that first on the stretch bit, I think it's stretch tip goal, I will do the Metal Gear Solid saga, Metal Gear Solid 1 through 4, expiring August 31st, 2021. If we don't hit it by then, it means that clearly there isn't enough desire for that. But if we do, this is something I've wanted to do for a very, very long time. I love that series so much.
So no spin-offs, no Metal Gear Acid.
No, just Metal Gear 1, 2, 3, and 4.
No portable ops.
I'll do Substance, I'll do Subsistence, the updated versions. But yeah, just sticking to those main 4, the glory days, in my opinion. And hopefully we have some good news about Metal Gear Solid that we'll talk about later on that would help this endeavor. But we'll get to that later on. I'll just do a quick spiel Druckmann before we get into what we've been playing and all that stuff. Guys, if you enjoy the show at any point tonight, please hit that heart button here at twitch.tv/The Level Up Show. Turn on notifications. Make sure you get those alerts whenever we go live. Specifically, I go live Wednesdays and Sundays most often. But we also got Vince and Tom here. You got to give them support as well. Go to their respective channels. Type in !Vince in chat. Type in !Tom in chat. Get those links. Go to their channels. Hit that follow button. They're amazing streamers, and they're live more often than I am usually. So please support those and support us. And then if you really enjoy the show tonight, you can go above and beyond. You could sub. You could tip. You could cheer. Of course, after show is a possibility. $30 in tips tonight will equal 30-minute after show. $60 in tips goes to a full hour. And after show is just all about actually talking with the chat in a way that we can't do during Next Level Gamescast. We are so focused on going through the agenda, staying on schedule, staying on time, that we don't get to look at the chat as much as we might like. But if we have an after show, we can focus on those stories that maybe you wanted to converse more closely with us about and take that time. Or we can just listen to some music, watch some videos, and shoot the shit. That's also fine as well. If you guys,
shooting the shit is probably one of our favorite things to do.
Yes. Also, we do archive the show, guys. It's on YouTube at youtube.com/levelupnetwork. And we are doing podcasting. It has not really grabbed hold at all yet, unfortunately, but we're going to keep pushing it. Please go to Apple Podcasts, go to Spotify, search for Next Level Gamescast. At least follow us on there to show that support. And if you're, driving in the car, maybe check us out. Listen to a rerun or whatever as well. It's something that we want to do is something that we wish was, more viable for us. But unfortunately, every time we've tried it, it hasn't taken off yet. This is our last chance. I think we're going to give it a full year of Next Level Gamescast on podcast and see if we can make it work. But if not, then that's okay. We'll just stick to video cast as well. Lastly, going back to season 2 and what we're all about, we added a couple of new things. One of them is a clip contest. Just wanted to give that a shout out and let you guys know that anybody that clips is having the opportunity of getting 5,000 seasonal points, because the first place, we're going to go through all the clips each month of the season. So that's 3 times. Each month, we're going to go through the clips and we're going to decide what we think is the best, most clever. That includes title, cropping of the clip, all that. That's going to go into how we decide who the best clip is of the season. And that person will get 5,000 seasonal points. That's a lot of seasonal points. So keep that in mind. You can just use !clip in chat, or you could go a little further, which we recommend, and actually manually clip, crop it, title it, make it clever. Go on our Discord at discord.gg/levelupnetwork, please. Yes. Get on our Discord, become a part of this community when we're not live, but go on there, go to the clip contest channel and post your clip so that we get a special notice of this, you guys. I see you guys are taking shots at that clickbait title tonight. That's the point, guys. We actually don't think that PlayStation is doomed. Let's just get out in front right now and say that.
It's doomed.
But it's been a rough month for PlayStation, I would say.
Jim Ryan is destroying this franchise.
I think he might be the Antichrist.
Yeah,
he might be.
He murdered my entire family. I don't know if you knew this.
I did not know that. I think you have good
He
reason
did.
to hate him then. I'm not sure
He
about
did.
everybody else, but I'd say you do.
There's a bounty on the man's head. I'm just going to say that.
Wow.
I'm not going to specify the amount, but if something were to happen,
Mm-hmm.
maybe it's me.
Guys, we need to talk about the end of season 1. We had an amazing season.
You did.
Really, just an amazing season. But specifically, season 1, episode 3, Mike is not here to take us through fake fans, so I'm gonna have to do it instead. Tell you how we performed, and I got some really bad news for you guys. We have failed, you guys. We have failed. We lasted 5 episodes before making a grave mistake, and that mistake was trusting Tom.
Trusting me.
Way to go, Tom.
Trusting me. Yeah. A clear fake fan of all things Steel Battalion, apparently.
Guys,
I was innocent in this whole
we are
thing.
now 0 episodes without error. King Kurt alleges you are all a bunch of fake fans. There was incorrect information put out during episode 5 following the Jeopardy segment regarding the publisher developer of Steel Battalion. Drew initially had the correct publisher, Capcom. Then Tom corrected to Konami, and everyone was in agreement. I think the lesson to be learned here is you never doubt me.
Trust your instincts, as one Peppy Hare once said.
Yes, on my end, that's 100% correct.
Yeah.
I need to trust my gut. You see, here's the thing. You're new here, Tom, so I didn't want to ruffle any feathers. I didn't want to call you out and be like, well, Tom, I don't know here if I trust you.
Well, you know what? And my girlfriend tells me this as well. Like, sometimes when I think something is true, I am very convincing. And it may be the voice. The voice may be part of it, but I say things with such certainty and such conviction at times that even if I'm saying something completely wrong, I can tell you that the sky is purple, and you may believe it because I am telling you with such absolute certainty.
It's why you're the voice, man. You've got that voice.
Exactly.
Everybody believes it.
How to Make Friends and Influence People. I read that book very well, apparently.
So we are officially back down to 0 episodes without error, and I promised in this case that I would give 500 seasonal points to the person that stumped us, the person that got us, I should say, in a lie, in a falsehood. So King Kurt 757, you get 500 seasonal points, and I'm also going to take your advice, King Kurt, on something. I like your idea of turning this into a jackpot. So what we're going to do moving forward is every episode that goes without error adds 250 seasonal points to the jackpot. So if we were to go 5 episodes like we did this time without error before finally getting called out, if that person was right in their allegations against us, they would get 1,250 SP. All right. But
it's a good incentive to pay attention to the show.
I will call us out right now and say there's not a single episode yet where we haven't gotten something wrong. I guarantee that.
Absolutely.
I guarantee
100%,
that we've gotten something wrong.
Based on you, the viewers, or the listeners, depending on where you guys are.
We're not going to call ourselves out. You guys got to do it.
We're experts.
So go on our Discord at discord.gg/levelupnetwork. Go to the #FakeFans channel and please submit your allegations against us. You can even do multiple, but make sure you do them in individual posts if that's the case. You guys, individual posts for each allegation against us. And moving on from that, let us now move on to one of my favorite parts of this show, really.
Oh, God.
NLG's Got Game, which has pretty much become Jeopardy at this point, and I'm okay with that. We are moving on with another round of Jeopardy. Jeopardy Part 3. Unfortunately, we only have 2, which is awkward for Jeopardy. You're supposed to have
it's
3.
Very
Mike could not
awkward.
join us tonight.
We're gonna see how this goes with just 2 of us as contestants, and you guys tell us if this works or not.
Yes, but Vince so far with 2 straight months in the lead. That's a very
only
impressive.
Because Mike has pretty much sabotaged himself to negative 1,000 every time.
I would say he does not know how to play Jeopardy. Yes, he's not the best. Okay, hold on. Say display game board on buzzer device. I want to make sure you guys see that. Okay, so what you want to do, Vince and Tom, if you forget, is go to playfactal.com/join. And I will give you the 4-digit code.
Alrighty. And I'm ready.
The 4-digit code is 1223.
Oh, am I not on there anymore?
I switched yours to a different image, Vince. I hope that you see it. Do you not?
No.
No!
Oh
Damn it!
no! Did you just delete him?
No, I didn't delete him. Hold on a sec, Vince. I'm gonna back out because I need this to be a thing. I need it to be a thing. I'm sorry. I have to have this as a thing.
I think I know what's happening.
Yes, you probably do know what's
I swear to
happening.
God.
Hold on. Can I do this? I want this to be a thing. I'm going to edit the game and see if I can add your new image in there. I wonder if the chat knows what I'm going for here. Does anybody know what I'm going for here? If you know what in chat what we're going for, first person to say it gets 100.
I'm just going to go ahead and say that if you're on our Discord, you may know.
Okay.
Oh, you jerk face.
You know what it is, don't you? You know now. You figured it out. All right, guys, go to playfactal.com/join.
I'm ready.
Hold on one sec. Actually, I want to make sure. I'm going to make sure you guys have 30 seconds this month for answering, because there's a couple things that are a little bit need a little extra, I would say. Okay, 30 seconds. I just switched it, making this perfect for you guys. Okay, and the 4-digit code is...
Oh, hold on a second. I didn't realize I got to back out here.
No problem. Playfactal.com/join, and the 4-digit code is 8606. Trish got it first.
8606.
Oh my God. I'm in.
There he is.
And Trish gets 100 SP. All right, are we ready?
I guess.
All right, let me go to full browser here. Okay.
All right.
Guys, we are in Jeopardy! Season 2, Episode 1. We have 5 categories. A brand new one, video game music. That is literally 30 seconds of a video game song. And first person to buzz in, take a guess at what video game that song belongs to. Okay? We got video game Who Am I? This is special in that I will read off approximately 4 details of this character. I will go through them one by one. I will take my time going through them. Each one I go through gives a little bit extra detail, I would say, as to who the character is. But you buzz in at any time. If I'm on detail number 2 of 4, you can buzz in at that point as well. You do not need to wait all the way to the end.
Does the capital H have any significance?
Where do you see a capital H?
Oh, I'm reading it. The way I'm reading it on my screen is it's capital WH, lowercase o.
Oh,
So
it capitalizes everything on my screen.
I'm looking on the stream and it looks different there. So never mind.
We got returning category video game developers 2. All I will say is the name of the game. And you will say the primary developer, not publisher, primary developer of that video game. Title by emoji makes its return. Sound out the emojis, or maybe they're a hint at what the video game title is. And finally, our favorite, blurred box art has returned.
That is my favorite category.
All right, Vince is the returning champion. Vince, you begin.
All right, we'll do blurred box art 3 for 300.
Vince goes first.
What is Left 4 Dead?
That is correct. Vince on the board with 300. Go ahead, Vince.
400. Blurred box art for 400.
Oh, shoot.
This one's a tough one, I will admit.
Yeah.
Ooh.
So I did make them a little more difficult this month. You guys have been going through them pretty good.
That's a good one there. That's hard.
That's a really good one.
That's a good one. Will you guys see this? Nobody? We got 3, 2, 1.
It's like 2 letters.
Okay, and it is.
Oh, yeah.
You guys know that box art?
I know that box art.
Pretty iconic box art, I would say. Okay, nobody gets it. Vince, return to you.
Let's go to 200 for blurred box art.
Nobody in the chat say what the answer is, please.
I'm not looking at chat, so good for me.
Okay, you guys, neither of you are saying, or if neither of you are looking at the chat, then that's okay.
We have to have the board up, so I can't see chat.
Then that's fine. Everybody in chat, if you want to answer, that's fine. I just want to make sure that they're not cheating, of course.
We're not
cheaters. Vince, go ahead.
I said 200 for blurred box art. I'm sorry.
Okay. Tom.
What is Resistance 2?
Incorrect. Vince.
What is Resistance 3? I'm sorry.
That is correct. I'm sorry, Tom. Vince, return to you.
Wrong to you.
Let's go to 100 for blurred box art.
The Daily Double. Not a very good one at 100, but go ahead. Vince.
What is Mass Effect?
That is correct.
Was that a delayed celebration? Because I thought that was a daily double thing.
Daily double in this doesn't mean that you wager anything. It's just double what the amount is.
Right. I just heard it. So I just heard the sound effect, so I wasn't.
Oh, I have no idea why you just heard
and
it.
it was so loud that I couldn't hear what you were saying.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's all good.
Moving on, Vince. Again, you are very strong here.
Let's just take it out. 500.
Tom.
What is eco?
That is correct. Back in the positive
Tom.
with 300. Go ahead, Tom.
All right, let's go. Let's go title by emoji for 2.
I feel like this is an easy one. Tom.
What is Resident Evil?
That is correct.
Yes.
I'm not
Tom,
good at the
back to
emoji
you.
Ones.
Let's go for 100.
Tom.
What is Firewatch?
That is correct. Very easy. Back to you, Tom.
Let's go for 3.
Tom.
What is SingStar?
That is correct.
Nice, Tom.
Yes.
He's on a roll. He's taking the lead. Go ahead,
Taking the lead.
Tom.
What is let's go for 4. Ooh,
This one's tricky.
that is tricky.
5 seconds. And nobody. The answer is Breath of the Wild. Legend of Zelda.
Oh, dude, good. All right, yeah.
And Tom,
Let's
back
go
to
for
you.
5.
All right. Vince.
What is System Shock?
That is correct. Very
Oh,
good.
dude, good call.
Very good.
Good call.
Very good. Back to you, Vince.
Let's do Who Am I for 200.
I am genetically enhanced human clone. My job is best described as assassin for hire. Vince.
Who is Agent 47?
That is correct. Back to you, Vince.
Let's do Who Am I for 300.
I first came to arcades in 1980. My English name was changed from its original to avoid vandalism. Tom.
Who is Pac-Man?
That is correct.
Very nice, Tom.
Tom, go ahead.
Let's go for 1 on Who Am I?
I made my first appearance in 1992 on the Game Boy. My home world is called Pop Star. Vince.
Who is Kirby?
That is correct. Back to
Let's
you, Vince.
do Who Am I for 400.
My surname at birth was Carlton. I am one of 7 original playable characters in my game. I am loosely based on Jean-Claude Van Damme. Tom.
Who is Johnny Cage?
That is correct. Tom, this is a real good match. You guys are doing very well. Go ahead, Tom.
All right, let's go for 5. Let's do it.
My first game was a side-scroller released in 1991. I spent time in the military as a major. I am an homage to 80s, 90s action heroes. I have saved Earth from robots, aliens, and even mutant pigs. Tom.
Who is Duke Nukem?
That is correct.
Nice.
Tom with 2,100. Go ahead, Tom. You're still
Tom.
going.
All right. Let's go with video game music for 2.
This will automatically play the music. I think it should for you as well. Here we go. I'm very surprised you guys aren't getting this. Okay. Nobody.
I got nothing.
Wow.
Nothing
Bioshock.
either.
Bioshock.
That's
Oh.
Bioshock. That's the opening to Bioshock.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't
I'm
know
very
that one.
surprised. Okay. I'm a big video game music guy, so maybe that's
Yeah, this is definitely your category, Drew.
yes.
But I'm
But
putting it off because I know video game devs is going to be definitely Vince's wheelhouse. So I'm trying to
No.
get some points here while I can.
I think it's still Tom, right?
Yeah, it's still me. Let's go for 100.
Vince.
What is Dearly Beloved?
I'm sorry.
Dearly Beloved?
What game? Sorry, it's supposed to be
Oh,
game.
sorry. What Kingdom Hearts?
That is correct.
Nope,
Nope, yes, it is the game.
Look,
Guys.
somebody's trying to get some extra points here.
But good job. It is dearly beloved. You are correct.
Sorry,
but yes, say the game, guys. All right, go ahead, Vince.
Game. Okay, so let's do video game music for 300.
Vince.
Journey.
That is correct.
All right,
1900. It's getting close.
Let's do
go ahead,
400.
Vince. All right. Since the time has run out, I will say, Tom, you just played this game.
I just played this game.
You did.
Yeah.
It is Hollow Knight.
Yeah.
One of my favorite songs in that entire game, City of Tears.
Well, it was a minute ago when I played it.
Yeah. Yeah, because it was a little while ago, but not too long ago. And go ahead, Vince.
Let's do 500, then let's close the category out.
Let it play. It's so good. Nobody.
I got nothing.
That is Further from Far Cry 3.
Wow.
I don't remember that at all.
I don't remember that at all either.
It's a great
You
great
want to
tune.
do that you want to do the dubstep theme when he's burning all the all the weed? Like, I got you, man. Yeah, right away.
All right, we have one category left. Go ahead, Vince.
Let's just go 300 for video game developers.
Dead Island. Vince.
Who is Techland?
That is correct. Takes the lead with 2,200.
Yeah.
Vince.
Let's do 200.
The Sims.
Shoot.
Vince.
Who is Maxis?
That is correct.
Yep. This is where I lose.
Go ahead, Vince.
100.
Call of Duty Advanced Warfare. Tom.
Who is Sledgehammer Games?
That is correct. Tom.
Let's go for 4.
Concrete Genie.
No!
Vince.
Who is Pixel Opus?
That is correct. And the
if I had
final.
more time, I would have been able to get it.
The final. Let's go 500 for video game developers. Gone Home.
Fuck.
It doesn't matter even if I get it.
Shit.
No, it does matter. There's Final Jeopardy.
There is. Well, I don't want to do it because I don't want.
Yep, that's understandable. That's understandable.
Yeah, I want to have enough points to wager.
Okay.
Ooh.
Nobody's getting it. It is Fulbright or the Fulbright Company.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Okay, we are now in Final Jeopardy. Make your wagers, please. Okay. This codename was used for the original Xbox One console prior to its initial reveal in May of 2013. 18 seconds. Ten seconds. Tom is in. Uh-oh, Vince. Time has run out.
Yeah, I don't have anything.
I don't think I'm correct.
Okay. Well, Vince gets nothing, but let's see what Tom gets.
What did he wager?
I don't know yet. I haven't looked, but you wagered it all.
Yes.
Tom, for Scarlet. That is correct. Scarlet is the Xbox Series X. I will reveal the answer in a moment. Tom loses everything.
Yeah, I know what it is now. Damn it.
Vince loses everything as well because loses whatever he wagered. Sorry, whatever he wagered. I don't know what he wagered yet. What did you wager, Vince?
200, I think.
200. Okay, so you will win. But the answer is Durango.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah. I kept going back and forth. I was like, wait, hold up. Which one is it?
which means that once again, the winner is Team Vince. Look at that mug.
Jeez.
Like,
Man, you're on a roll. 3 for 3.
I have to get ahead of Vince and then hope that the final Jeopardy question is.
I think I need to get rid of video game developers. Vince is really good with video game developers.
That's why I tried to go with music, because I'm like, it's my only shot to try and get ahead.
Yeah.
I just don't get how we just blurred box art is like my thing, but like the emoji ones, oh my god, I have a hard time. Like Tom, you took me on that one. I was like, I have no idea.
A different way of thinking.
Well,
Yeah.
you getting System Shock definitely hurt me.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a 500.
If I didn't get System Shock, you probably would have won.
I was wondering if anybody would get System Shock. That was the one that I was like, ooh, this one's kind of tough. I don't know if I should do this, but I decided to go for it. And I'm very happy I did, because you got it, man. You did it.
Yeah. Did it.
Way to go, Vince. Third time.
Way to go,
3
Vince.
for 3.
Hey.
Yeah,
Great, Tom.
that's
Thank you.
impressive, man. You at the beginning of this whole
toes,
thing,
Tom.
I remember when you said you would be the one that always loses this. You're like, I'm the youngin', I don't know games as well as you guys, and you're killing it, man. Killing it.
Oh, man.
Proud
By
of you.
luck, I think.
Maybe.
It's talent. Talent to know useless
Yeah,
information.
I know how to unscramble box arts from pixels.
All right, let's switch over to what we've been playing, and I'm a little bit saddened that I don't get to talk about this one with Mike, because we've been playing It Takes Two, and it's
Makes a
damn
dream
good, you
come
guys.
true, by the way.
Makes a dream come true. It's really impressive. Of course, this comes from the same team that worked on A Way Out and Two Brothers. And why am I drawing a blank on their name? Vince, you're the video game developer guy. What's the name of the team that works on these?
I don't know, to be honest.
It's the guy who hates the.
It's Joseph Fares. I know him, of course. But I'm trying to think of
the singular and only dev.
the developer name, and I'm drawing a blank on it. Apologies. Anybody else here playing It Takes Two before I move on?
I want to play It Takes Two.
Mm-hmm.
I'm waiting to do that with my girlfriend because it seems like that is the ideal situation for this game.
Haze Light.
Hazelight, thank you.
Yep.
So it's the gist is your daughter is neglected, and you are a couple, a marriage that is sort of on the rocks, falling apart, even heading towards separation. And I can't really spoil it, honestly, because I actually don't know where it goes. We're not finished it yet. But what happens is early in the game, some type of magical, body transfer thing happens where you're put into the dolls that your daughter plays with. And then you are tasked with going through all these environments to get back to her and try and remove the curse, or at least you think what will remove the curse, and they think it's that they have to make her cry tears onto them because it's her tears that turned them into dolls in the first place. So now they think they need to do it again, which is kind of messed up and screwed up, and that's kind of the whole point. These parents are awful. Let me just say that right now. Well, I'm like great. 5 hours in, and they're the worst. They're the absolute worst. And so far, they've made like no development whatsoever in their marriage as far as like having an improved relationship, and it's making me really wonder, like, where is this going? Is this going to be like a complete downer of a game? Because every time they bring the daughter into play and she's like going into their rooms like, hey, mommy, daddy, will you come play with me? And they're like in some trance because they're inside the dolls, and it's just like sad, somber scene where it just seems like once again they're neglecting their daughter. It's like, damn, this is kind of heavy in a way. And then otherwise it's juxtaposed with this stupid book that's on screen right now. I have to say, it's the worst part of the game. This stupid book, Dr. Hakim, that is the love guru, the book of love, trying to repair your relationship. Maybe, I don't know yet, because I don't know how it's all going to come together. Maybe they're not meant to be together. But let's get to what's great about this game, because the story is fine. The concept is fine. I don't know if I love the way it's told so far. I definitely don't like Dr. Hakim. I think that the male character, the father, I can't remember his name. I don't like him at all, his personality. But what's great about this game, what's important about this game, is the mechanics, the gameplay, the world, the just variety of environments is unbelievable. I can't believe how much is stuffed into this game, because I'm only 5 hours in, and I can't believe how much we've already seen, how many mechanics they've thrown at us, and we're only like a third to a half of the way through the game. There's still so much to see, and they keep finding ways to be original and unique and clever as it goes on. It's not difficult. but it's also not easy. I'm not sure I could have played this with Kristen. I wanted to originally play with Kristen. I'm not sure she could have handled it. It's a little bit too heavy on the mechanics, I think, for her, but it's kind of perfect for me and Mike. I feel like we're figuring out most things pretty quickly. We're in the zone. We're finding grooves. Maybe we're just good together. We got a good relationship. We got that marriage.
It's almost as if you're compatible.
Yeah, almost like we're compatible. It is almost like that. Yes, make the kid cry, says Store in the chat. It's I will agree that the girl is kind of creepy because it sounds like a 30-year-old doing a 10-year-old's voice.
So, that's never good.
So it's like kind of like I kind of want her to cry. She's annoying
that makes for an awkward time.
So yeah, once again, the presentation of the story elements not my favorite, but everything else visually, the presentation in every other way is so good. All the quirky little characters, the squirrels, the bees, the appliances in the garage. It kind of feels like a Brave Little Toaster in that way, where all these things are coming to life. When you go through your daughter's room, especially, it feels a lot like Toy Story, and it's so much fun. And there's one part in her room where you go through all these different portals that bring you to alternate like dimensions, where it's almost like shrines in The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, where each portal brings you to this unique puzzle that you have to solve. And each of them, it keeps going. I was like, holy crap, there's like 6 of these? And then it's like, no, wait, there's like 9 of these? It just kept going. I was like, and they're all great. The one thing I will say I'm a little concerned about, but maybe I shouldn't be because they're doing such a great job. I'm a little concerned that there is like a good 6, 7, 8 hours left still. It's been like so jam-packed in a way that it's so dense where I feel like I've played like 10 hours already. And I'm like, wow, is this really going to not overstay its welcome by the time I hit like 12, 14 hours into this? That's my one concern.
It definitely sounds like it's a good thing that they did not add collectibles into it and made a good point about why they wouldn't do it.
Yeah, there aren't collectibles necessarily, but there are mini games that you can find that you can play with your buddies. And there's also a couple of moments we've seen and we haven't figured out where there's these like heartless looking characters hidden within things. And I don't know if you're supposed to do something with them or it's just like a part of the game and they always get the one up on you and kind of it's like a tease almost to kill you. I don't know if there's something beyond that or you can figure out how to kill them or capture them or something. But if you're saying there's no collectibles, I actually haven't heard that before, Tom.
Yeah, they made a very big point about the fact that they didn't want to add in collectibles into this game specifically because they were worried about, if you have one person, if you're ostensibly always going to be playing this game with another person. And if one person is like super hung up on trying to get trophies and trying to like get all the collectibles, it's not necessarily going to be fun for somebody else. And the exact phrasing I think they used specifically in describing it was, we don't want you to do, like, the game is deliberately paced a certain way to where if you were going to spend time trying to find collectibles, it's going to completely destroy the pace that we were trying to build.
Yeah, I could see that. It's so, like I said, dense and sort of fast paced and just keeps going from one environment to the next and finding ways to utilize the co-op system in new ways that I'm not sure that collectibles would have been good for this.
Right.
I really like the speed that we're going at. It seems just constant. There's never a moment of rest. And I mean that in a good way. Like I said, it almost feels like we've played more hours than we have. And that's why I'm a little concerned about the longevity of the game. But they've proven me wrong every step of the way so far. Like, this is really a unique title. And it's the best co-op they've ever done, Hazelight, and one of the best co-op I've seen, especially since Portal 2. Right. I'd say that's the last time I've seen a game do co-op this special. So highly recommended based on my first 5 hours. And I think Mike would agree. We're both pretty enamored with this one. Mike is not here to talk about Outriders, but Vince, I think that you're able to fill us in a little bit.
Yeah, I can fill us in just a little bit on that. Outriders is fun. And that's pretty much it. The one thing I think I knew Mike was wanting to talk about was, because last month, if anyone remembers, he was talking really high praise about the demo. The full product is out now. And it was rough. The first week was very, very tough on servers. We still had 7-minute sign-ins at some points because the game. I think
most of these games are when they start, right?
Well, this isn't a games of service. That's the kind of the big issue. It's not a games of service. It's an always online game though.
Still though, yeah.
And it's just they've been doing some good work with pushing that type of stuff. I finished the game and I'm done. Like, I really have no more desire to even go through even more of the end game. the ending of this game pretty much kind of killed it for me. And I don't want to speak about that in a negative way. It's just loot games for me need some context. And the way they do the context build up for the last quarter of the game is just bizarre. But it's still a fun shooter. It's really clunky on consoles, in my opinion. There's still like this really weird aim assist delay where your like cursor can get stuck on like aiming at enemies. It's still not very smooth. But the abilities are fun. The loot is fun. There are some really cool mechanics I wish other loot games would bring over, like having a mod library or something like that. This would be something that Avengers could desperately use in a Gear rework. But, you know, I don't really see this game being too much lasting as like the hype machine it is too much longer, but still fun. I would still recommend it for anyone who has it on Game Pass, or if you're able to rent it, you're going to have fun with it. But then moving on, really for me, the one game that I played over vacation a lot, and I am absolutely shocked by how much I loved it. Everyone here knows me. I love Monster Hunter. I grabbed Monster Hunter Rise for the Switch for vacation, took it with me, played it, and I don't understand how Capcom was able to fit the entire almost Monster Hunter World like experience on a Switch. It's amazing. It's just been so much fun to play a Monster Hunter title on the go, on an airplane, kind of going back to the PSP days. And the game is a kind of a good looker. It's really bizarre. And the wire bug traversal mechanic it has to be in there for World 2. If it's not in World 2, I will riot. I will send a very strongly worded letter to Capcom saying, what are you doing? The wire bug adds, as you can see it on the screen right now, the wire bug adds so much awesomeness to the game. If anyone who thought Monster Hunter was slow, the wire bug kind of gets rid of that entire thing. It kind of makes it it's awesome. Like I can't, you really have to play it to kind of get into it, and you start zipping around. I play dual blades. You're zipping around, mounting monsters. You're flying. Oh my God, it's great. And you know, the new monsters have been all fun to play. The raid, or I guess the rampage mechanics that they call it, is like been like the only thing I really haven't cared for. It's like a tower based thing to where like you have to like build towers up and repel waves of monsters, and it's a little long.
Yeah, I'm surprised that like this at this point in the year of Luigi 2021 that we're still talking about adding in tower defense as an extra mode.
It is weird, right?
Yeah, but it seems like that should have like gone like away for a while yet now.
And it's clunky. It's a little clunky how it handles it in Rise. But anyway, Tom, what were you playing?
Oh, what was I playing indeed?
Rules of Nature?
A good month to talk about this game you've been playing.
It was
good season.
Mostly. Well, I definitely wanted to play a game. As Drew's been talking about trying to go through all the Metal Gear Solids, I thought, hey, you know what would be good? Because I was playing a lot of indie games earlier on. You know, which all had a separate kind of feel to them, you know, very easygoing, very light. So I decided to go the complete opposite direction and go with Metal Gear Rising.
I love this game.
This game is so good. I love everything. Like, this is peak to me platinum, even more than say Bayonetta is for some people. Like, and you could tell like in certain sections of this game, you're like, oh, that's just Bayonetta right there. Like, this game is so fun to play. It's smooth like butter. And the weird thing is I'm playing this on the PS3. If you want to play this game right now, you can. I believe you can get it on Steam.
You can.
And it is well worth it. I mean, if you're not into character action games, I get it, but like you should still give this a shot, because just being able to do the free slicing mechanics and chain together some of your combos, and all of this is still peak Kojima for me. Like, it still very much feels like this man had his hands all over this while still hanging out with Kamiya and him doing his magic with character action.
This is a big source of shame for me, actually.
What,
I have never played Metal Gear Rising.
Oh,
what?
You need to fix that. I need you first of all to not watch my stream, you specifically.
Okay.
Because I don't want you to be. I'm sure you've been spoiled on some things.
I know nothing. I mean, I know like the mechanics. I know all of that, but I know nothing story wise. No, I got nothing.
Okay.
You'd be surprised.
Do not watch anything from my stream. Not you that you do anyway, Drew. But don't.
Hey, I lurk every now and then. You don't know.
Do not watch my stream on this. I need you to go in cold. Even if you don't do the Metal Gear marathon, I need you to play this game, and I need you to experience what
this insanity is.
This insanity where you just have a chainsaw wolf beating into your shoulder blade. It is a fantastic game, and definitely try to get the DLC as well. There's only 2 major ones. And they're just like extra side stories that go along with it, but they're both excellent. This is more of like a revisit for me than anything else. The only unfortunate thing that I will say that's not much of a spoiler, but in the middle of the game, when you start getting to some of the middle bosses, they aren't necessarily as interesting or complex as the first couple and then the last bit.
The game has a really weird middle.
It has a very strange middle, but it's very easy for you to get past that and then just go on to more of the Kojima insanity. And just for a reminder for everybody, this game takes place after the events of Metal Gear Solid 4. So you still have Raiden after he's already gone full cybernetic soldier, but now he's just a wandering samurai working for a PMC himself. After the Guns of the Patriots and the SOP system has gone offline.
One of the best intros ever.
I'm a little confused. At the end of Metal Gear Solid 4, doesn't he get all of that removed? And I remember the scene in the hospital room with his family coming in and
no, he still has all that stuff. Basically, he can interchange his parts whenever he wants. He has a civilian mode and then he has his battle mode. Yeah. And he's
like the Iron Giant.
They mentioned that early on in the game because he doesn't look the way he does at the beginning of the game as he does through the rest of it. And one of the things, and this is not much of a spoiler, but they mention offhandedly, it's just like, oh, if I had my full battle armaments, it would have been a different story.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
seriously, Drew, you would love it.
It's one of those ones that's always been on my list, but it's like a PS3 game now at this point, so. I don't know.
For the longest time it was for me. Honestly, when you watch this game, it still looks good. It looks
good on the video I was looking at.
The only thing that you'll notice from it is that because it is a PS3 game, it's still going to have that thing where everything has a brown filter on it. Yeah. There's a lot of brown and grays. It's not as brightly colored as
those were the times. Yes, I remember very well.
But then again, aside from the last brightly colored Metal Gear game that I can think of, honestly, was probably 3.
Yeah.
4 was kind of drab.
Yeah, 4 was very drab, yeah. Except for Chapter 2, a little bit of color
5 was
there.
Drab. Even when you were in Africa, it was drab.
Mm-hmm.
So if honestly, it's still going to have the same look and feel as most other Metal Gear games, to be quite honest with you.
Okay. Good to know. You might have convinced me.
Yeah, I really think you should. I'm still playing through it. So come and check out my channel, hopefully tomorrow and Tuesday. And I will be continuing on for everybody else in the chat who would like to see it, and hopefully then also support this game, because it is one not to miss if you were a fan of Metal Gear or character action.
Strong praise. Wow. I think that's enough of what we have been playing, though. Yeah. Vince, can you tell me a little bit about some games we haven't been playing this month?
Yeah, so finally we're bringing back some How You Reviewing, everybody, and we're going to start this off with kind of a doozy, and that is Balan Wonderworld. Did I say that right? I hope I said that right.
I say Balan, but who cares, really?
Wonderworld,
who cares? Into Dreams or whatever that game's called?
Yes,
yeah,
whatever that Balan Wonderworld. It might have a subtitle. I don't even remember.
I don't even know. But anyway, guys, this game is sitting at a 48 on OpenCritic at 60 critic reviews. This game has pretty much been a flop.
This is like Square Enix has this every so often. The last one was The Quiet Man. I think it was called The Quiet Man, right? Which got like a 30 something on Metacritic, I think. And now this is their next disaster.
Yeah, this is
almost
disaster.
Equal to that.
And I can't remember the creator's name, and I apologize. I feel like he was a big deal. Like, it was a big deal that he was involved in this game, and it just failed completely. So I have two quotes for you guys here.
Well, because I believe it was the guy who made Nights into Dreams.
So would that be also Sonic's character designer? I think.
I think so, but
it kind of looks like that.
Like that was the big reason, because everybody saw this. And it's like, oh, it's just Nights. Yeah. That's all this game. That's the big thing that everybody looked at this game as it was coming out.
Right. So I got two quotes here for you guys. One from IGN. This is Tom Marks' little snippet of his review. All the charm in the universe can save Balan Wonderworld's half-baked platforming and ill-advised one-button design from being a complete bore. 4 out of 10.
Oof.
Then from Eurogamer, we had Martin Robinson. Surreal. Wow. I can't
Enigmatic.
See. Thank you, Drew. And often sloppily executed. Balan Wonderworld is a 90s throwback that might be too period correct for some, not recommended / blank.
It does look like that. Like the animations, man, the animations are so bad. I'm sorry. I could not look at this game seriously looking at those animations.
There is something to be said about retro games and like going back to pixel art, but thus far, I don't think anybody's really come across doing the 3D retro game any justice.
Yeah, it's a weird title. But I don't know. I'll never touch this, I don't think.
No, me either.
So moving on, though, one of my favorite games of all time. Disco Elysium, the final cut, released on PlayStation consoles, soon to be Xbox and Apple Arcade here in the next couple months. Actually, when you put this in, Drew, it was at 88 OpenCritic. It has now moved up to a 90 on OpenCritic. Woo. It's at 30 critic reviews. And again, first little quote I have here for you from IGN. This is Simon Carty. The final cut elevates Disco Elysium from an already phenomenal RPG to a true must-play masterpiece. 10 out of 10. Then, from Hardcore Gamer, Jason Bone, I think. I apologize if I said that name wrong. There are valid concerns to level up Disco Elysium, the final cut. The console port wasn't handled as cleanly as it could have been, and new players are likely to get blindsided in a way that's just a touch more information up front would have avoided. 4 out of 5. Now, I kind of want to touch up on this review here a little bit because I think this guy is kind of right. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, it's also weird because the intro of this game is designed to be completely disorienting. And I don't want to get into story stuff because the game story is phenomenal. I honestly recommend this game to anyone who wants a good story. This game is top of the class. Literally, second favorite game of all time, right here.
Damn.
It's the music, the story, everything like that, and it is now entirely fully voice acted. It is phenomenal. I've played the intro multiple times on the PS5 version because I'm just astounded by just how good it is. It is awesome.
How long is it, Vince? What'd you say?
Oh, it depends on how long you want to make it because you need to role play. That's the one thing about this game is like if you role play the actual character that you want to be in this, it can go long. I mean, I think for me on PC it was it's funny. Steam only says I only have like 2 hours in it, so I don't know how my thing got broken there. But I think I had like around 40 some hours.
Okay.
On that for me, but you can kind of go through it if you want. It just depends on how you want to do. And again, it's just with the voice acting though, it definitely slows down. Like in the hour that I knew I could do the intro on PC, that was like around an hour and 45 minutes because you're listening. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Because you're listening.
That's like one of the things people didn't realize is 7 Remake when that was coming out. I knew that was going to lengthen the game just off the bat right there because people don't realize how much faster things go when you're just clicking X through the dialogue, reading it, speed reading it. There's a big difference between that and having this presentation, that's out of this world and this cutscene with, great voice acting and all that. It adds at least double to the length of all those scenes, sometimes triple. I'm going to enter this poll in again because it got messed up the first time. I think it should work this time. That's fine. There you guys go. In the chat, what are you going to be picking up or what did you already pick up from this past month's releases? Let us know in the chat, please.
Yeah, no, seriously. I cannot say to everyone, if you truly have an opportunity to try this game out, do so. It is an absolute gem of a title. Surprised me. What was that? 2019, Drew, when we saw on the Game Awards show, and we were like, I was like, I'm curious. And I played it like after the awards works. I got like 7 awards. And I remember coming back to you like 3 weeks ago and going, oh my God, it deserved every single one of those awards because it was so good.
Yeah, we were surprised. We were like, wow, this is interesting. I did not expect this. Might need to try this one out. That's the power of the Game Awards. It's the power of awards in general. But anyway, guys, let us take a short commercial break. When we come back, we are going to be doing the level update, and it is entirely focused on PlayStation and not good news. Pretty much all bad news. That is the level update this month is all bad news. Although we're going to try and look at it from a different angle, some of these stories. an angle that maybe some of you have not seen. So hold on tight. Do not go anywhere.
An
Anywhere.
angle some of you may say that we're console homers.
Yes, you might. We will be right back. Hold on tight. Transmarxist. Welcome back to Season 2, Episode 1 of Next Level Gamescast, the Level Up Network's monthly gaming talk show live on Twitch at twitch.tv/The Level Up Show on the third Sunday of every month. Make sure you never miss an episode. Hit that heart button here at twitch.tv and turn on notifications so you get alerts whenever we go live with either variety gaming or talk shows. I'm usually on Wednesdays and Sundays, although Saturdays for Lights Up Show on the first Saturday of every month. If you're watching or listening to us on archive, hit the subscribe button on YouTube. Follow us on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. And of course, become a part of this community even when we are not live on Discord at discord.gg/The Level Up Network. Also, Vince and Tom in the chat, you guys, !Vince, !Tom. Hit those links, give them the follow, support those who support us. They're part of this show. And we're now going to move on to our discussion of the month's biggest gaming industry news. It is time for the Level Update. No,
Oh my God,
Mike isn't here. I thought, hey, we can buy this. First up, my topic. I want to start with a big story that dropped in Bloomberg this past week from Jason Schreier, titled "Sony's Obsession with Blockbusters is Stirring Unrest in the PlayStation Empire." So, he talked to a lot of people here. He did. And here's the thing. There's nothing factually incorrect about any of this article he put out there. What I'm going to try to do is recontextualize some of this for you guys as we go through it, because I do think that the lens that we were forced to look at it through, courtesy of Jason Schreier, was a little harsh and a little bit exaggerated, I think, for sure. And I think a lot of people would agree with that. He talked with Michael Mumbauer of Visual Arts Service Group, VASG, recruited a group of about 30 developers internally and from neighboring game studios to form a new development unit within Sony. This is the team that so many people thought was working on Uncharted. This is like the Sony San Diego team that was being built to work on Uncharted. A lot of people thought that for a very long time. So here's the crazy thing, and this happened in the article. This was leaked that the Last of Us Remake is happening and that this team was actually working on that. Sony, of course, has never revealed that. This is brand new information. This is a leak of the Last of Us Remake. So the team originally planned on the remake of the first Uncharted game. That's what's kind of crazy. So they were planning on working on Uncharted, but it was going to be a remake of Drake's Fortune from 2007. That idea quickly fizzled.
Which could honestly use it.
Yes, but that's the thing, right? Is they looked at Uncharted, and this is VASG here. They looked at Uncharted and they were like, this is more ambitious than we thought. This is a game that needs a lot of work, as Tom just sort of implied. Yeah. And that's when they decided, okay, why don't we go for The Last of Us then? Because the sort of rebuttal to that we've seen online, where a lot of people are like, this game doesn't deserve a remake. This game doesn't need a remake. That's exactly why I think they wanted to go that direction, because the game holds up very well still. I just played Remastered last year. It holds up very well. Playing Part 2, I will say there are a lot of things where I realize now, wow, like Part 2 really improved upon Part 1 in these ways, but Part 1 still holds up very well. Here's the thing though. VASG wanted to make this game. This is the game that they chose to make. Let's keep that in the back of our minds for a little bit here as we move on. Herman Holst, the former head of Guerrilla Games, was named the head of PlayStation Worldwide Studios in November 2019. He thought the remake project was too expensive. This is talking about the Last of Us Remake. According to people familiar with the matter, and asked why the planned budget for T1X was so much higher, T1X I think was the code name, was so much higher than remakes Sony had made in the past. The reason was that this was on a brand new graphical engine on the PS5, so maybe even exclusive to PS5, not cross-generational. Mumbauer needed to hire more people to help rework the graphics on new technology, as well as redesign gameplay mechanics. Holtz wasn't convinced, the people said. Here's the thing that we don't know yet. Like, were they completely redoing the cinematics? Were they doing the voice acting again because they were redoing the cinematics? And let me start there for a second. I actually want to get your guys' opinion on this. What if they were planning to do that and still plan to do that? How do you guys feel about The Last of Us Remake being remade in that way, where even the cinematics are a little bit different than they were in the original game?
I think that it's not nearly as worth doing as the Uncharted remake is.
Okay.
It's exactly as you said. Like, Sure, you can go back and do all that, but why? Is my question, because
I will tell you why in a little bit.
It's not that far away from when we saw Last of Us Part 1.
Mm-hmm.
And you still have the it was still re-released on the PS4, and if memory serves, I think you can still play that PS4 version on PS5.
No, you can.
Of course.
You can play the remastered version on PS5.
Right.
It actually got a patch for improved loading times on PS5.
So and that's kind of my point, is that it's still a game that holds up extremely well. And to me, you're getting diminishing returns from doing a remake of Last of Us Part 1. It's in my opinion, anyway.
So here's why this is a problem, I think, the article, because what you're saying is what was needed in this article. Mm-hmm. That context is very important. The way it was framed in this article is just, hey, VASG was put on this. They decided to do this. It was in the article. They decided to do this, but they failed, according to Herman Hulst. They were not able to achieve the vision within a budget that that Herman Hulst thought or deemed worthy. So they ultimately failed. And Naughty Dog was then brought in to sort of right the reins. And now supposedly Naughty Dog is working on this. Added some more people onto it. It's probably like 45 to 60 people, I would say, working on the Last of Us remake with a Naughty Dog. So a lot of negative reaction there, right? Of why is Naughty Dog wasting resources on the Last of Us remake, this, and this. So let's start off with VASG. This was their moment to learn, to build a team, to work together on a project that wasn't super ambitious because they're remaking somebody else's game. They had feedback from Naughty Dog, of course, as a sort of support. And that was supposed to be their learning moment before they elevated to true first-party studio status, become, a new San Diego studio within PlayStation. That hasn't happened yet. Maybe will in the future, but they didn't get it done on this one, unfortunately. Yeah. But they wanted to do it. Now, Naughty Dog working on it, which a lot of people are really having an issue with, there's been information that's come out since then, even from Jason Schreier himself on podcasts since then. And this is what really bothers me. This is information that should have been in the article. They are in very early pre-production on their new IP. They do not have enough people that can move on to that would satisfy the 300 plus people that work, maybe even 500 people that work at Naughty Dog. They've got a lot of people that would have nothing to do if that was the case, because they were all hands on deck on The Last of Us Part 2. On The Last of Us Part 1 and other games in the past, they were able to sort of move a team onto pre-production on their next game while that game was finishing. But The Last of Us Part 2 was so ambitious, was so hands on deck, that they had nobody to start pre-production. And so that's the problem here. They waited until Last of Us Part 2 was done, and then they had this huge swath of people that it's like, what are they going to do? What are they going to be working on? This is the answer to that. This is what allowed them to be busy, allowed them not to be laid off, and allowed them to learn PS5. That's what they're saying. This is what Naughty Dog is saying, according to Jason Schreier in interviews post-article, that this was necessary. And that's, I think, a very important note here, is even if you don't agree with it being The Last of Us Part 1 remake, this allowed Naughty Dog to stay together. This allowed a lot of people to keep their jobs. Like that's, I feel like that's in itself right there. That is enough. That is worthy to me of this endeavor. And let's also keep in mind that 45 to 60 people is 20% at most of Naughty Dog. Factions, most of the people working on that are done. A whole lot of people have already been moved off Factions. So what are they working on? I think is the question, actually. Like, are they still working on Uncharted? Has that moved over? Like, who's working on Uncharted? Is Uncharted dead? Because that was another thing that was happening. There was something going on with Uncharted. Or has this new IP that they started pre-production on, is that moving far enough along now that they're gradually moving people on into full development? But either way, this is sort of the behind-the-scenes development stuff that we don't know about. And it's okay that we don't know about. We're not really supposed to know about this shit. Like, they have this all working in the background. They're figuring this all out in the background. And if Jason Schreier never posted this article, we never would have known the Last of Us remake was happening. We never
Right.
would have known that potentially let's go to E3, let's go to June. And I'm not even going to focus on the second part of the story, which is also exciting under a different lens. But let's focus on the Last of Us here. We come to E3 2021 and PlayStation does have a show or has a summer show or something like that, and they bring Naughty Dog out on stage and they reveal the Last of Us 2 factions. And then after that big reveal, oh wait, we got one more thing. The Last of Us Part 1 remake shocks everybody. Like, holy shit, are you kidding me? They're doing the Last of Us Part 1 remake? And then the bombshell. Guys, every part of this is packaged together. Factions, Part 1, Part 2, PS5 version, all one package. Let's say $70. People would have flipped shit. And then, if they were to go one step further, which is what they should do, go one step further and say, hey, that's not all. We got a short teaser for you guys. Here's our new IP that we're working on. Short teaser, VGA's style with The Last of Us reveal. Just give a teaser cinematic with the title of the game. Show that they're working on something other than The Last of Us. And everybody would have been happy as a pig in shit. Right? Am I wrong on that?
I think, and this is just me personally. Again, just goes back to I'm personally not excited, and I don't think a lot of people would necessarily be excited for seeing a remake of The Last of Us Part 1. But everything else that you said there, I'm on board with. I would say that people would be very excited for the rest of that news.
The caveat is that they need to reveal that they're not just working on The Last of Us, because that's
Right.
what makes this okay. If you know
Right.
that there's only 45 people within a 300 to 500 person studio at Naughty Dog working on The Last of Us Part 1 remake, and everybody else is either finishing up factions or moving on to a new IP, then okay, yeah.
Of course.
That's totally fine, right?
Yeah,
that's my problem with how everybody's framing this.
It's fine and you can live with it. I think me as a consumer, I would look at that and be, why devote the resources anyway? I would rather you focus all of your attention on this other thing. But But again, that's just me. That's like sour grapes for me, and that's being very nitpicky. I understand that, but that's just me from the consumer. Vince, I don't know how you feel about that.
Yeah, Vince, go ahead. What do you think?
I mean, coming from no, I'm not going to come from that angle. The thing that always kind of bugs me about this whole thing is that everyone's like upset about the Last of Us remake being made, right? And the thing that I see that is, and it's part of the story here that kind of throws me off, is that like T1X had to have a brand new graphical engine for the PlayStation 5. Yeah. So to me, it was like, were they going to try to move this off the Naughty Dog engine? Were they going to try to do a completely different engine than emulate Last of Us style in a different engine? Like, to me, it doesn't make sense. Now, you're telling me now that Naughty Dog is coming in and taking both projects, Part 2, Part 1, and even Factions, is now dual purposing this design to where, hey, we can actually upgrade our engine, keep people employed, hopefully potentially not run into crunch issues, because they've learned from that. You would hope, after being in the spotlight for a whole year. I mean, that's what I think. That's where I come from that, Tom. It's like, it's much more like, no, this is what they're doing then. They've realized that, like, okay, we need to keep people hired. We need to give people a decent workload, but nothing too crazy. So let's redo Part 1 as a complete remake for any of our like younger members with a few senior team members, right? Let's do, and then for the Factions team, let's make sure it's our core team coming over here and doing this, and it's all the assets are made and everything like that. So for me, it's just, I'm not like upset by this. It is weird. Like, don't get me wrong. I do think it is a little strange, but when you look at that, look at that from that context, then it makes more sense. Like, it's not resources being gone, because that was the one thing that Neil Druckmann and a bunch of his other game directors talked about with Part 2, is they really tried to hammer in production milestones, and the game just went out of control that way.
Yeah.
So that's where I'm hearing when they're saying that the other IP is in pre-production. It definitely tells me that they are mapping that out. If that makes sense to me.
Yeah, you do not need more than you probably only need like a couple dozen people working on that. They're figuring out the concept right now.
Well, I think not even that. I think they're figuring out, like, okay, what's acceptable, what is doable, and what is not, instead of having Part 2 being that monolith title that just took them too long to make, if that makes sense.
Right. Agreed. And that wasn't the only part of this. As you can see, like, the narrative is building, though, right? The narrative of Sony is so focused on their huge top tier echelon titles like The Last of Us that they're willing to remake a game that just came out in 2013. But that's just one side of the story, is kind of what I'm trying to say here. I'm not saying it's not negative. I can understand people being upset that it's The Last of Us Part 1 being remade, but in the context that we are now framing it in, there's a little bit more understanding there. But that wasn't it. We got Days Gone on screen. We got Uncharted Golden Abyss on here because we also have Sony Bend as a part of the conversation. Oregon-based Sony Bend, best known for the 2019 open-world action game Days Gone, tried unsuccessfully to pitch a sequel that year, according to people familiar with the proposal. Although the first game had been profitable, its development had been lengthy and critical reception was mixed. So a Days Gone 2 wasn't seen as a viable option. Instead, one team at the studio was assigned to help Naughty Dog with a multiplayer game, I would assume factions, while the second group was assigned to work on a new Uncharted game with supervision from Naughty Dog. So there's the Uncharted side of things that we don't know the answer to actually yet. This kind of is ambiguous when it comes to that. Some staff, including top leads, were unhappy with the arrangement and left. Ben's developers feared they might be absorbed into Naughty Dog, and the studio's leadership asked to be taken off the Uncharted project. They got their wish last month and are now working on a new game of their own that will be part of a brand new franchise. Poll in the chat for you guys. What do you think, or what do you wish Bend is working on? So the last line of that is very important in my opinion.
Yep.
They got their wish. Sony looked at their vertical slice, ultimately decided the pitch wasn't convincing, but was able to keep them busy enough. Some people left because I guess they might have been upset that their pitch went down, although that might not even be true according to some interviews we're going to get into. But most people stayed, from what I can understand. Most people were kept busy on either Uncharted or on Factions or something like that. And then once they were able to come up with a new idea, a new IP, made that pitch, it was convincing enough, I assume, and they got their wish to move on to that, into this brand new franchise. So the two in particular that left that a lot of people are talking about are Jason Garvin, and I believe Jeff Ross is his name. Am I right on that, Vince?
I think you're right. Yep.
The interviews that have come out since then, they've been with David Jaffe on his channel, have been very enlightening into changes in culture within Bend that aren't bad necessarily, and also what truly led to their departure. It doesn't seem like it was actually that Days Gone 2 was shut down. And let me actually stop there for a second here and talk with you guys about Days Gone 2. I played Days Gone, an hour and a half of it. I know it's just the first hour and a half, but it was exactly what I expected. It was just very generic, traditional open world fare. I wasn't impressed, especially by the presentation of the cinematics or the story at the start. It felt like Diet The Last of Us in an open world setting at that start there. And I personally, I could see Sony just being like, this is way too similar to The Last of Us. It's just in general, that's one reason to just shut it down. Like, do we even need another IP? And by the way,
that's what everybody said before that game came out.
Oh, when it was revealed, you guys can look back at our reaction. We were like, ooh, Last of Us spinoff. This has got to be the Last of Us spinoff. Everybody thought that. And I think that Bend hated that comparison. And I think they still, specifically Jason Garvin, as we'll talk about in his interview, seems a little salty about The Last of Us succeeding so much and Days Gone having a 71 on Metacritic, the Diet of Us. The visuals are beautiful. Don't get me wrong. I was very impressed by the world. The open world visuals, especially a 60 FPS 4K, beautiful. But everything else just felt like what they are. It felt like their first foray into AAA open world development. Very ambitious, very long shot for them, and they went for it, and that's totally fine. It's just I don't understand why so many people thought Days Gone 2 was going to happen necessarily. I wouldn't have been surprised if it did, because it made money. Don't get me wrong, it did fine. It has like an 80-something user score. It made money, so if they were to greenlight, I would have been like, okay. I would have been disappointed myself because I'd rather them do other things, but for them to shut it down because it's not to the level of their other first-party offerings, I get that. What about you, Vince? You seem like ready to say something. Do you understand why Sony would shut this down?
Kind of. And the thing was too is like it's been more of the information that's come out now is kind of made more sense. When we first got the article, it was like, I mean, you guys can see it on Discord. Tom and I had a very much a back and forth on it, a very good discussion about it. The game sold like bananas. Yeah. I do believe from what I saw, I'm not gonna take these numbers officially, but like the last number I saw estimated was 9 million copies sold.
Yeah.
Total.
Which is about where like Miles Morales is at right now, for example.
I mean, the game sold. So it was weird to me to see in an article, and it's kind of more of a fear, I think, for me when I see Sony shot down a sequel because of critical reception. And I think you guys both know how kind of anti-review a little bit. I am when it comes to that type of stuff. And so to me, that was like the big fear. But as the more information has come out now, it's kind of made more sense of like, yeah, you guys pitched Days Gone again. You didn't pitch.
And let's talk about
Gone
that actually. Let's talk about the pitch that they made.
Yeah.
Because we actually have a little bit of information of that based on, I think, Jeff Ross's interview with David Jeff. He talked about what Days Gone 2 was supposed to be. Before I even get to that, another pitch on screen right now, a vertical slice that was never meant to be seen for Sucker Punch's Prophecy. So keep this in the back of your mind. Pitches happen all the time, guys. Vertical slices, lots of work, months of work go into pitches and vertical slices that get shot down. What did Sucker Punch go on to after Prophecy? Ghost of Tsushima, the most successful IP they've ever worked on, a blockbuster IP that is doing amazing. How many Game of the Year awards for Ghost of Tsushima? And it's because Sony shot down Prophecy. So keep that in mind as we read this Days Gone 2 pitch.
And keep it in mind, this happens all over the entertainment industry.
Well, I was actually going to say, didn't Cory Balrog get shot down first before he went and made God of War 2018?
I believe he did.
I believe his new IP was shot down, and he had to go, and then like he went, regrouped with people, and then he went and made God of War 2018, one of the greatest games of all time.
Yes. You have to think, like, of course Sony wants to give its developers as much freedom as possible, but there is a line to that, guys. They are a business. They're not going to let them do whatever the hell they want. Like, there is an approval process here before things move forward. And according to Jeff Ross, this was the pitch for Days Gone 2. We wanted co-op from the beginning in Days Gone 1, but obviously you have to make concessions for what you're not going to be able to do. When asked if the ideas for a co-op mode would have been implemented in a sequel, Ross said, "It's one of the things that we had in our pitch, yeah. It was the idea of a shared universe with co-op play." Ross described it as taking this world that you've built and all these assets and systems and repurpose them for some sort of similarly themed multiplayer version of this universe. So it would be with guys like Deacon trying to survive, building up a clubhouse or a crew. I think it would be fun to be in that world cooperatively and see what horde battles could be like. I don't think it's publicly confirmed that the status of Days Gone 2 is, meaning he doesn't want to say for sure that it's never going to happen. I don't want to be the guy who's the official source for whatever that is. He went on to say multiple times, like, he's not going to say never to Days Gone 2. Like, it could happen. And Vince, you talked about this too, because it's doing really well now, you know, years after release, and it's coming out on PC now. So could it have a second life? It's possible, right. You know, right?
It's possible.
But I could, based on what was said there, it sounds a little bit like Death Stranding, actually, in some ways. This sort of like interconnected universe where people are helping each other out, leaving things behind for other people to see. You connected in that way, but within a zombie apocalypse. It kind of sounds a little similar to that, I would say.
Yeah, I mean, to me, I actually took it more like an actual hardcore like co-op game, as in like, yeah, you would just be playing what you're doing in Days Gone, but hey, I can bring Tom and Drew with me this time around. We could do this. You know, that's honestly what I heard. So when we talk about, you know,
it sounds like, honestly, Vince, like a co-op State of Decay.
Yeah.
Right. And that's what it is. It's Days Gone with multiplayer.
Yeah.
It's
a genre.
Days Gone 2.
Zombies as a genre, personally, this is me, but man, am I fed up with zombies for the most part. You got to be doing something pretty unique and special.
Dude,
from some
we've been
standpoint.
saying that for 5 years.
Yeah, it's just like, it's so long in the tooth at this point. That could have been alone enough for Sony to be like, you know what? I don't feel like this genre has another 5 years of legs left, especially for a co-op.
Especially when one of your main, like, biggest top sellers, what everybody was crazy about, Last of Us 2, is essentially at its core a zombie game.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep, 100%. Agreed. Interview with Jason Garvin. Let's talk about this because it's really important and completely changes the context once again in an article from Jason Schreier, which heavily implies that the leads left because Days Gone 2 was shut down. Jason Garvin literally says he was fired 6 days after the release of Days Gone. He had nothing to do with Days Gone 2 not being greenlit. He doesn't see himself as a good with people person. He said this himself. He doesn't consider himself to be a good with people person. He had some heated arguments with Sony over that. His heated attitude was fine when they were a small studio, but he admits that you can't have a director losing his temper in a 100+ dev studio. Sony gave him chances to improve his leadership skills and put him through training a couple of times, how to go to lunch with more people and stuff like that. That didn't work out, and he saw it coming when they fired him. You can't make games as a one-man show anymore. You have to embrace the team and give right people the chance to prove themselves. So I like that he's so sort of humble and reflective about this. And this isn't just him. The other lead, Jeff Ross, in his interview, he was much more restrictive in his interview than Jason Garvin was. I think Jeff Ross was very afraid to burn bridges and say something that he shouldn't. So you couldn't get as much out of him. But one thing I noticed in particular, one line that everybody was sharing around was that he felt millennials were sort of ruining a culture within Ben's studio. So when you combine these two together now, what Jason Garvin said here and what Jeff Ross said, this is purely speculation, guys, 100% speculation. It kind of seems like the studio outgrew them. Started off as a 30-person studio, went up to 100 plus when they worked on an ambitious title like Days Gone. Lots of young blood, lots of millennials, lots of people that aren't probably too happy with crunch culture. These are two leads that have 25 years in the industry that have dealt with crunch their entire lives. They probably think crunch is fine. Maybe. I think
maybe not think fine, but it's just accepting it as a part of the industry. Like, this is how things get done here, guys.
And I think that they couldn't keep up, potentially, again, speculation, with a culture that was changing within the studio, a culture that they didn't like the direction it was going in. And I think that maybe led to Jason Garvin and his arguments with Sony, and it might have led as well to Jeff Ross feeling like he just didn't belong there anymore, because he said as well that his leaving had nothing to do with Days Gone 2 not being greenlit.
Yeah.
Now, Jason, go ahead.
And it's like you said, look, this is a guy, and this is going back to something Storr just mentioned in the chat, where he sarcastically brought up Stardew Valley with the quote of, "You can't make games as a one-man show." The difference is that you're talking about guys who, generally speaking, haven't worked on very large development teams with the kind of budgets that Sony's trying to go and throw at some of these games to make them. So now you have a different culture now where you're going to have a lot more pressure on having to deliver for Sony and be a AAA asset on the level of being an Uncharted, of being a Last of Us, of being a Horizon Zero Dawn. You need to be those games. And that's not always going to be working. That's not always going to work so well for guys who are older in the industry. I mean, it didn't work out for Inafune. It didn't work out for a whole bunch of older Japanese developers. Shinji Mikami did not want to go the way that Resident Evil's now going. So there's a lot of guys right now. Look at Hideo Kojima. Doesn't really play well with the culture that is there now. While he just doesn't have a blank check and being able to do everything on his timeline. So it's something that a lot of these older guys aren't necessarily going to transfer over well, which speaks to, again, the "I'm not a people person. I don't work well with others." Well, it's going to be difficult when
a lot of an old dog, new tricks.
Yeah, you can't teach a guy, and it was tough for me in my industry too when I was going from smaller networks up to big corporate networks. It's a big leap from where you used to get away with a lot of things. You used to be able to have a different culture and mindset going into work versus when you go into a corporate situation. And that's a completely different set of tools and social skills that you need to translate as well as do your job.
Right. Yeah. Right. Now, one last thing I'm going to go through, and this kind of echoes what I said earlier, but I do want to repeat it here because Jason Schreier went on MinMax podcast. And this is where it really came together for me that, what happened with your article? What you said in this podcast was not represented by your article. Mm-hmm. And him and both Jeff Grubb came out the same exact day, because Jeff Grubb put out a piece as well about Jim Ryan and his narrative and all this. Everybody wants to blame Jim Ryan, which we'll talk about later on. I feel like we got to save that for a discussion that happens later in this big PlayStation level update. But here's what he said specifically on MinMax podcast. He confirmed that Naughty Dog is a 300-plus person studio. That does not include any of the outsourcing, all that kind of stuff that they do. It's Naughty Dog alone, 300-plus studio. Factions multiplayer game is in the polish stage already, so the bulk of Naughty Dog is no longer working on it. Whatever their next project is, new IP or otherwise, it's in pre-production, so a very small portion of their staff is concepting that next title. This means that you potentially have 100-plus employees, engineers, programmers, animators, etc., with not much to do day to day. And he closed off by saying, remaking an existing title with a highly anticipated HBO adaptation would be a relatively low-scope, high-profit project that the staff could be directed towards. They also get a chance to refine their tools, processes, and become accustomed with the PS5 hardware so that by the time the next title is ready to enter full production, they're far more prepared. That line, that sentence alone, that's all you needed. That right there completely changes the context of that entire piece. The Last of Us Remake did not even need to be revealed in that article.
Nope.
Shouldn't have been revealed in that article. That game, what it was, its purpose in the article has nothing to do really with the narrative that seems to be taking place here. There's so many other ways they could go with that. They could have gone with Days Gone 2 being canceled, and that, you know, the blockbuster Sony that wants to be, you know, said no to that because we need new IPs that are going to be the blockbusters on the level of The Last of Us, on the level of Horizon. You know, that's kind of what bothers me a lot about this piece, is I feel like I don't want to say it had an agenda, because I don't want to say that. I don't think that's probably the case.
No.
But it really sort of buried the lead in a way, I guess.
I wouldn't say that he did it, that like there was any sort of malicious intent with any of this. I mean, a lot of this can also come down to just Jason's editor.
That's 100% true. The clickbait title is the worst part of it all. Yeah, and that's probably the editor, right?
Between the headline. The headline is 100% the editor. No author of any article has like extremely little, if any, input on how the headline goes. That is 100% the editor. So there's so much of this where it's tough to and you can understand why Jason can be a bit more abrasive toward the reception of that article, because I don't think people really understand that his articles likely are not 100% him, or how it finally reads in any sort of magazine or website, that it's 100% him. Maybe on Kotaku it was 100% him, but no, when you're working for Bloomberg, that's not how things work anymore.
Yeah, I agree. And also there's a history now between him and Naughty Dog that I think also adds a layer of tension.
That too, yeah.
To this whole thing. But I think I have a poll that I have not put in chat for you guys. What are you hoping is Naughty Dog's next game, chat? And let's go back to the headline. I'm going to read it again here to close this off. Sony's obsession with blockbusters is stirring unrest in the PlayStation empire. That's what this is supposed to be all about. And that's something that, even outside of the context that I was just presenting, just as base value here, is that something, if true, that we should be concerned with? Let's go with you, Vince, first. Are you worried for a future from Sony? They just shut down Sony Japan studio. Are you worried about a future Sony that is so obsessed with blockbuster first party?
No. And the reason why I'm going to say no is because their games are fantastic. That is their genre. That is their entire market, is the AAA blockbuster experience. Do I lament and do I wish we would get more of the odd titles? 100%. But I also do think that's another opportunity for Sony to restructure, regrow, and everything like that. Plus, if they're so focused on that, why the hell would they fund Media Molecule again? If Dreams wasn't like the fire seller that it was or anything like that, why would they put more money into that studio again if they're going to be chasing AAA blockbuster? We're going to have Media Molecule come up with the next.
I feel like Returnal falls in this camp too. I feel like Returnal is the really quirky looking, unique title for AAA. That's for sure. For the budget they put behind that, a roguelike, sort of Hades type game, but with a AAA budget. I feel like that's a risk. I feel like they are taking risks still.
They're taking risks. It's just everyone wants them to take risks, like a Gravity Rush or help me out, Tom, like a Siren,
like The Last Guardian.
Yeah, you want a Siren, you want a Last Guardian. You would even love, and granted, this is not their own IP, but like getting a Hellblade, or getting something of that nature, like a Senua's Sacrifice. I mean, not the other Hellblade. But like you want to see something more ambitious, more different. You want to see more journeys. You want to see more like an Abzu in there, more The Witness.
But that's something that I'm going to go to that. I feel like they're still doing that. That's my opinion. Like, I feel like Kena is that. That's them taking a studio that is brand new, fostering them, taking them under their wing, and saying, hey, media. God, what the hell is their name? Ember Labs. Hey, Ember Labs. I get it mixed up with Mediatonic. Hey, Ember Labs, we're going to build this relationship. We're going to see your potential, and we're going to work together on Kena exclusive to start on PlayStation, and let's see where this relationship goes. They did it with Pixel Opus. They did it with that game company for a 3-game stint. They did it with Quantic Dream.
Opus also has a game coming out. As I said, I think in the last podcast, as of October, they still have they had another
one more
round of hirings on LinkedIn.
Yeah, because they still have one more. They had Entwined, which was a very, very experimental first start type game. Right. And then they went on the Concrete Genie, a very big jump. And now they've got their 3rd game in that stint. Journey, of course, Flower and Flow. And then even with Quantic Dream, that was also a 3-game stint where it was Detroit Become Human, Beyond Two Souls, and Heavy Rain. This is what Sony does. They see the potential of new studios. They build them. They build that relationship. They foster them. And then if they have what it takes, if there's no other drama in the background like Quantic Dream had, then maybe they take them on as a first party. And I really have always liked that about the way Sony does things. And I so far don't feel like that has changed. I'm with Vince. Like the first party stuff that they do, nobody else is really doing it to the level that Sony is doing it. Not with cinematic third party stuff. That's or third person stuff. That's for sure. Right. It's really just the cream of the crop for them. So for them to focus on that makes a lot of sense considering indies aren't going anywhere. Third parties that do little games aren't going anywhere. So like, why would they take their great studios, their great developers and engineers and put them on something that doesn't really match what people now look at PlayStation to be, this epic AAA blockbuster, publisher? And why would they put them on that? This is going to happen here and there. Don't get me wrong. I guarantee you'll see some small titles here and there. But I think that they're going to rely on Ember Labs and things like that and do exclusivity agreements and then bring them in further as time goes on. That's the future I expect with PlayStation. Let's not forget their first state of play this year was entirely focused on indies. It was nothing but indies. And the reaction to that state of play was, where are the big games, Sony? Why are you showing us only indies? You can't have your cake and eat it too, guys. Like, come on now. It's ridiculous. You can't be telling them that the state of play is not what you want when it's all focused on indies, and then 3 months later say that all they care about is AAA blockbusters.
Right.
It's just, it doesn't match reality.
And the problem with it at the end of the day, I think, and Vince, I'm sure you would agree with this, Drew. I'm sure you would agree with this too. It's because people are placing it up against the PR that Microsoft is getting for Xbox, up against what the release is. Like you expect, like I think a lot of people are expecting that Sony's going to start really heavily marketing some new, brand new, ginormous games that they're going to be putting out in their first party studios. And to an extent, I don't think they've been marketing Kena quite as much as they should be, but they are not necessarily going out and doing the kind of PR around some of these titles. Like, I think like most people, if I brought up Kena in a discussion, they would be like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
Maybe.
But I mean, the other thing too is with Sony with that, it's like they usually don't start marketing those types of games until like 2 months before they release. That's like they've been doing that. They've been doing like that 60 to 30 day marketing blitz where it's just that's all you see.
State of play happens a few weeks before. Maybe they do one for Stray and Kena at the same time. Another great looking indie that is exclusive at the start to PlayStation. Let's not forget. I think we can.
It's another damned if you do, damned if you don't situation. Because if you announce a game, a smaller game like a Kena, like 2 or 3 years out, everybody's going to be like, why are we doing this now? But then we saw Kena, and the first time we saw Kena, what did it have? It had gameplay. It had actual, you could see a vertical slice of what this game was. So, and then everybody's complaining, why are we not seeing more of it? Show us more.
And by the way, one of my most anticipated games this year, Kena. I think it looks beautiful. I love the way that game looks, and I can't wait for it.
So you can't win because people are going to want to see giant games, and they're going to want to know about it early, but then they'll complain when nothing new comes from that.
Or they'll complain about seeing that game too early.
Yes.
And something we didn't even factor into this equation or conversation, COVID. I mean, I think
COVID on top of
not everybody is responding to COVID in the same way, but there's nothing wrong with feeling like you don't want to talk about everything too quickly in this year. where things are getting delayed left and right, and you're not sure what the ramifications of all of this year is going to mean for your studios and for your games. It makes sense to maybe be a little bit withdrawn and a little bit lacking in communication, because I think we all can agree that Sony's lacking in communication right now, and especially in comparison to Xbox.
Absolutely.
Oh, absolutely.
We all can agree with that. They're not doing everything right
as well as they could be.
We got 3 other level update topics here, and the next one, I think I can completely understand people being very upset for. Personally, I am not, because it's just not something that matters to me. Tom, I know it matters to you. PlayStation
matters to me a lot.
Is closing down PS3 and Vita stores. Polygon writes, Sony confirmed on Monday that PlayStation Store access for the PS3, Vita, and PSP will end this summer. PS3 and Vita stores close August 27th. The PSP remaining purchase functions will end on July 2nd. You will be able to still access your download list, and all that's still available to you. Even PlayStation Plus stuff that was from the PS3 days that you have in your library, those are still there. And it seems like they're working out some of the patch issues that were coming up this week. But Tom, explain to me, I want to hear from your perspective why this is a big problem.
Well, it's a big problem to me, and if anybody who had watched, I think it was like this week or maybe the previous week's Jimquisition, Jim Sterling did a very good job, a very eloquent job of describing this issue. But in short, to summarize it, because it's very similar to my issues with it, to me, I look at this as there are several games that are only available via the PlayStation 3 store that you can play. And a lot of them are exclusive to PlayStation that you could only play there. And once the store goes, those are gone. Like, you are not going to be able to play those games anymore. And currently, while Drew just mentioned that they're trying to work out some patches, we still don't really have a whole lot of knowledge as to what's going to happen when these stores close. If I popped in, let's say, if I popped in an Arkham City into my PS3, or I popped in
Metal Gear Solid 4 into my PS3, would it download all of the updates? Would I be able to play the optimal version of these games that I already own if you shut down the store? And right now we don't really have too much clarity on that. Mm-hmm. So part of it is the same way that I look at when you buy a physical copy of a DVD. Like, I have the entirety of the Back to the Future collection on Blu-ray, for instance. Now let's assume that I own it on VHS. And then basically you're just saying, all right, well, me as Sony, I am going to destroy every single VHS player in existence. And now you won't be able to watch, say, and actually, let me change that analogy. Let me make it the original trilogy before the special editions. That if you had the original trilogy on VHS of Star Wars, and then basically Lucasfilm and Disney said, okay, well, we're going to round up every VHS player that's ever existed, and we're going to destroy it so that you will never be able to play this thing that you already own and see it the way that it was. That, to me, from an artistic standpoint, I find that to be extremely disheartening, because when a piece of art is made and it's reproduced in such a way where you're only going to be able to get that version of it that way, and then you're going to remove the ability for people to be able to access that, something that they've already bought and something that they could reminisce fondly about and want to revisit at some point, like me, who has the ability to stream PS3 games or PS2 games or PS1 games or N64 games and so on and so forth. I would like to be able to do that without having an hindrance on playing that. And even if it's not for a stream, if it's just for my own personal enjoyment, because I want to go back and revisit something that I loved playing back in the day. Like, I want to be able to have that ability, and I don't want it to be based solely on whether or not Sony decides to keep their store up.
Well, let's talk about some options here that are feasible and maybe could happen in the future. A lot of people toying around with the idea of PlayStation Now, becoming a much greater thing. We'll talk about PlayStation Now a little bit more tonight later on as well. What if it were to add the entire legacy of PlayStation on it? PS1, PS2, PS3, every game ever on PS Now, but let's say it has an increased subscription or something like that. Does that fill this void? Does that smooth it over?
there's some problems with that theory of that existing, and the biggest problem is, what about games that have licensed music?
Mm-hmm.
What about games that have licensed images and all these other things that would tie into that? Theoretically speaking, what you were suggesting, Drew, would be an optimal scenario in that point. Hey guys, we're gonna get all those old games that you love. We're gonna put it onto our PS Now system. You'll be able to play it with a fee, of course, but you'll be able to play it. I could live with that scenario. But the problem is for instance, now granted this is a PS2 game, so just bear with me on it. But Burnout 3 is one of my favorite driving arcade games ever. I think it's it's an amazing game, an awesome game. Same thing with NFL 2K5 is the best football game that has ever been made. Then and now, all the Maddens currently being made pale in comparison to ESPN 2K5. It came out in 2005. Okay, but again, PS2 game, but bear with me on this. So those games both contain licensed soundtracks that were made specifically for those games for the purpose of selling them at those times. You are going to have a very hard time translating that game and putting it on there with all of that licensed music already being in there. Like, there's going to have to be work that gets put into these games for them to go onto the PS Now system, aside from just being emulated. Like, there is going to be certain things that you're not going to be able to experience with those games, and they won't be able to be on those on that platform. They're just not.
Yeah, I 100% understand what you're saying. Yeah, for me, I guess I'm in that second option in the poll, is where I kind of just thought, like, this day is going to come. Like, it's going to come eventually,
right,
where these stores are going to shut down and we're going to lose access to the digital versions of these games. So it almost feels like a ripping off the Band-Aid type moment to do this and be like, they're shutting down. I do hope that there is a solution to it in some way in the future, even if it's not every game ever. I do think, PS Now needs a boost, and this would definitely help. I'm not sure that the audience for backwards compatibility is as strong as a lot of people want to believe it is. I think a lot of people, like myself, move on and they play a couple of series, here and there. Like myself, I go back to Final Fantasy, I'll go back to Metal Gear Solid, but otherwise I move on. And I think most people are like that. So I do wonder, adding that legacy subscription, upgrade to PS Now, I wonder how it would do, if it would be enough to get people to consider it somewhere in the echelon of an Xbox Game Pass. They have a lot of work to be done on that, as we'll talk about later on. I don't want to spend too much longer on this one because we are a little behind. So let's move on to our next topic tonight. Wait, no, never mind. Tom, what does that sound mean?
Oh, that sound means... also, Tom just got done with a big rage fest. But also, it is now time, ladies and gentlemen, for the halftime hedge. Once every month, everybody, we go ahead and we give you the ability to place up your SP in wagers against us, what we consider the house, to try and increase your SP scores through bets and a little bit of friendly wagering throughout the season. This month, we do not have any new wagers, unfortunately. Also, unfortunately, we were expecting to at least have one of our wagers resolved this month, but we unfortunately had a little bit of a delay with Returnal. King Kurt 757 had wagered on the Metacritic score of Returnal, and unfortunately, because it's got delayed, we're going to have to wait an extra month. So the next episode of the Next Level Gamescast, we will have that wager resolved. But guys, this is an awesome opportunity for you to increase your SP throughout the season to get any of our fabulous rewards that we have offered to you. So, and it's one of the easiest things you can do. And our wagers can be just about anything. I know one of our most popular ones currently has to do with review scores, and it's a very easy one for us to immediately resolve. But really, your bets can be toward anything that you want. We currently have a bet about Drew potentially finishing the Mass Effect Legacy.
Not potentially. How dare you? How dare you, Tom? I will finish the Mass Effect collection.
Well, I mean, you say that, but there is a wager out currently on whether or not you're actually going to do it. So
10,000 seasonal points on the line.
10,000, 10K.
And even some PSN cards, according to Derek. He put up some PSN cards as well. Very generous.
Listen, guys, this is an awesome opportunity. But if you want to talk about us getting through a game, if you want to talk about how long we can actually finish an episode of the Next Level Gamescast, any of this, any and everything, as long as we can negotiate it with you, we will. And the best way to do that is to join our Discord. Join our Discord and go to the Halftime Hedge channel and place your bet there. And we will talk you out. We will do that all live on the podcast, and we will also do it in the Discord, depending on the wager.
Yeah.
We will negotiate with you to figure out what the appropriate amount of SP. You obviously make your bet first, and then we will let you know whether or not we think you should raise it or lower it, or if you're just right. But guys, this is an awesome opportunity again to raise your SP, to get new rewards for yourself throughout this season.
Season 1, we gave away a $100 PSN card.
Right.
We gave away a hoodie. That means you can activate a future hoodie from the season, like early access style, or you can actually reactivate past merch that has been since expired. Right.
You want to get the faces of the Next Level Gamescast shirt?
Exactly.
Guess what, guys? You can go back and you can get that shirt if you missed it.
That's what seasonal points are all about, is being the number 1 of the season, number 2, number 3, and getting those rewards. Derek coming in with a $10 tippy saying, just tap out. Just a little tappy. Tap-a-roo.
Just a little tap-a-roo.
No, I will not. I'm excited, actually. I'm actually really excited next month to get into into Mass Effect. And I really hope that it is for me what it has been for so many of you for so long. King Kurt, we won't allow it. No.
We won't. No. King Kurt trying to wager 250 SP for the next episode. There will be an error made. No. We will not do that. That is a separate, all-encompassing bounty. We consider the errors in the show to be a bounty, a standing bounty for you, the viewers. So that will not be part of the wagers. But everything else is open and available. So guys, I look forward to seeing you. Good luck on your bets. Good luck to King Kurt next month. Hopefully we get a chance to see where you stand with Returnal. Drew,
he predicted somewhere around the 83 range,
yes.
I think. So we'll have to wait and see. I hope it's higher than that myself. I really do.
So actually, instead of Drew, I am actually going to toss it on over to Vince with our next topic.
Yes.
Yeah, and it's a little bit of a doozy in a way.
As all things are with Hideo Kojima.
As all things are. So is Kojima working on Xbox exclusive? ? The new game reveal for Abandoned, theorized to be a secret Kojima game for PS5. Now, this was crazy. I had so much fun with you guys on Discord with this. This was such a great time. It was
awesome. It was amazing.
But so for everyone who didn't know, PlayStation Blog just posted this indie game that was called Abandoned. And it was an open world survival horror game. The game director has the same initials as Hideo Kojima. Studio is Blue Box Game, which can be shorted to BB. They're working on the PS5 exclusive very early in development, but somehow releasing this year. Their previous mobile game looks eerily similar to PT and has game art very reminiscent of Death Stranding. The social media presence is barren, abandoned you could say, and placeholder elements plastered all over their website. Now, we had our fun. It was a good, 72 hours before we finally had some confirmations come out and everything like that? It might have been a little bit less than that, but the game director, Hassan Karaman, I apologize if I did not say that name right, shot down that theory. Quote from him, "We have no association with Hideo Kojima, nor do we claim to have any association, nor was it our intention to claim such a statement. We are a small group of developers working on a passion title we wanted to work on for a long time. It wasn't fun, but it did make me laugh," they explained. "At first, I was receiving messages from people telling me they have been watching me and that I, as Kojima, used some marketing tricks to promote his next game. I didn't know what they meant until I Googled it. It bothered me a bit as a team. It bothered me as a bit as we as a team were so excited to tease a bit of our game, and then the conspiracy comes," Karam continued. "All I wanted to do was tease our game. Regarding our social media presence, we're a small team and not a big AAA studio. It's already hard to work on a highly polished game for PS5, so we're nearly can't spend any time to work on our social media presence full time, while it is important.
You know what I say to that? That's exactly what Hideo Kojima would say if he were impersonating Hasan Karaman. I don't believe it.
Does Hasan Karaman have his entire face wrapped up in bandages?
I wish. I wish. No. Those were the best, man. Those are the days.
Is his name Ishmael?
Yeah.
Ishmael. No, but moving on then, we did have Jeff Grubb with VentureBeat come and really kind of shoot this down. He had quoted, "The biggest piece of evidence I have that Abandoned is not Kojima's joint is that Kojima is in talks with Microsoft about publishing his next game, according to a source familiar with the matter. And yes, the statue on Phil Spencer's shelf was referring to a potential deal with the legendary developer. I cannot confirm if Xbox closed a deal yet, but my understanding is that Kojima is the focus for a Microsoft plan to leverage Japanese talent." So here's the big thing. We talked about, did we talk about the Stadia story last month, or was that 2 months ago when they shut down all their first party studios?
I think it was last month.
I think that was last month, yeah.
Yeah, so last month. So we also got from that whole last month story was that they actually had a project with Kojima that they shot down, that he had worked on an episodic horror game with Stadia, and it just didn't go through. So to me, this is Microsoft coming up and saying, hey, you want to finish that? You want to put it on Game Pass? You want some money? You know? And I think it's 100% doable. The other thing that I do know is that Kojima Productions, I should say, is working on multiple projects. Yeah. I've seen that all over Resetera, Reddit, Twitter. I've seen it everywhere. I'm going to assume it's pretty much true because these are some big people who are talking about it.
Because the internet's always right.
The internet's always right. And it makes sense, too, because if they're working on an exclusive for Xbox or Microsoft, I'm sorry, what's happening with Death Stranded Extended Edition? And then we also they also have another new IP that he's working on that we just don't know who's going to yet. So, I mean, yeah, it's cool. I don't understand the big deal, to be honest, if that makes sense.
I think people are once again trying to look at it as, Jim Ryan, what are you doing? You let Kojima go. Kind of thing.
Right?
Damn you, Jim Ryan.
But I mean, like, here's the thing. Everyone knows I love Death Stranding. Everyone knows Drew hates it. It's fine.
I don't hate it. I gave it a 7, dude. Maybe a 6.5. I can't remember. I did not hate it. I thought it was lackluster for Kojima.
I think you gave it an 8, actually. So
no, I definitely didn't give it an 8.
I think you did.
I did not go that high. I think I was planning on giving it a 6, and then I really liked the ending so much that I actually brought it up to a 7.
It's all good. It's fine. Everyone's can like different games. That's totally cool, right? So here's the thing. We've even talked about on the show previous times, Drew, is that, like, we know Kojima and Herman and Yoshida have a very great relationship. Him and Herman especially have a great relationship. I have heard or have read, it's speculation, people, that, him and Jim Ryan don't quite get along, And
I don't know that really matters, though. Really.
It doesn't really
Who's
matter.
The person that literally gave a flash drive to Kojima with Decima engine on it? That was Herman Holst, who has since then become president of Worldwide Studios. Like, that is who established a relationship. That is the person who made a satellite studio dedicated to Kojima Productions. Right. They did a lot of shit for Kojima with Death Stranding. Now, that doesn't mean that they have to work with him on the next game. Once again, just like the shutdown that happened with Days Gone 2, they might have looked at this episodic series, let's say, that they were doing on Stadia, and they brought it to PlayStation, and maybe they were like, no, I don't think this is the one we want. You're working on Silent Hill for us right now. Let's just have you focus on Silent Hill.
Right.
And you do that with Xbox or whoever else you want to do it on. Like, that's what I'm expecting personally, is that there's going to be some PlayStation exclusive Kojima game, and there's going to be an Xbox exclusive Kojima game.
And I'm fine with that.
Yeah, that's cool. I hope he doesn't get picked up, as acquisition wise. Like, I don't want Xbox to acquire him, obviously. And if that's, PlayStation's fault in letting him go, then I think that will be a bummer. But right now, I don't think we have any reason to believe that and start, tar and feathering Jim Ryan over it.
Right. And so it just, again, this is one of those things where I was just like, I don't quite see what everyone's freaking out about. Like, let the man, where he wants to work, let him work. And if you're a fan of his work and, that game interests you, If it comes to Xbox, great. You will probably be more likely to be able to play it on the Series consoles and PC, which will be great.
Which is where I would play it if I do play it.
That's
the
great. Secret here, everybody. It'll also be on PC.
Right. Yep. That's what's great. So you really can't really miss out on it. So anyway, I don't even think we need to talk more about this. Tom, let's go over to you to kind of how wrong you were about a certain
and more abandoned exclusives lost to the Xbox. So wrong you were, Tom, once again.
So friends, this was regarding, well, you know what, it still brings up a lot of interesting questions, at least to me anyway. So MLB The Show 21 is going to Xbox Game Pass day one. Dun dun dun.
Ooh, Xbox.
A PlayStation representative told me, not me. This is from an
I told you. Yeah, we got those. We got those connections, man.
Told me personally.
We're climbing up.
I'm climbing up. You know what? I'm basically gonna be. It's me and Schreier. We're like this, guys. I mean,
that's the reason I brought Tom into this.
Big old tag
just for his connections.
Exactly. All my connections within the industry. I actually did meet the show devs at the 2016. I think it was the 2016 Sony Expo experience demo out in LA. A lot of really good guys over there. So anyway, PlayStation representative told me that as part of the goal for this year's game, MLB decided to bring the franchise to more players and baseball fans. This decision provides a unique opportunity to further establish MLB The Show as the premier brand for baseball video games. Analysts also confirmed that it would have been the MLB and Microsoft that pushed for this deal, not Sony.
And that was where the speculation was, right? And that was what we talked about on Discord.
The speculation, because we knew for a while now that the game was going to be coming to Xbox.
Right, of course.
So we knew that this was happening. We knew that Major League Baseball wanted some more exposure on that console and on PC potentially for that game to be able to be played. And obviously, baseball certainly has a image problem. Particularly with younger audiences. So for them, it's extremely advantageous to try and get younger audiences interested in the sport. And what better way to do that than with a video game? The one thing that shocked everybody is, as I just mentioned, that the game is going to day one be on Game Pass, which I didn't doubt that was the case, but I did doubt that Sony would have wanted for them to do that. And I had doubted at the time that MLB would have pushed for that because me being a baseball fan, I have a very contentious relationship with Major League Baseball for numerous reasons that require an entire separate podcast to talk about. This is game-centric, so I'm going to keep it to that in and of itself. But I did not think that MLB themselves were that in tuned and that locked in to the gaming platform in order to understand how big having the game on Game Pass would be for them and for Xbox. Really, and it makes me question Drew and Drew and Vince. I mean, you guys jump in on this. Where do you think that leaves Sony at the end of the day? What are they thinking? What do you think that they're going to take from this moving forward into not just this year's game, but potentially MLB The Show 22? When and if they actually decide to start developing for that.
Let me start by saying that I was right. No,
of course.
Here's the thing. The reason that I was confident that this was not PlayStation's decision and that this was MLB is I could not figure out really much positive in the PlayStation side of this. Like I get that they're probably hopefully they're gonna make money off of this being on Game Pass for microtransactions. That's a whole other conversation we're gonna get to in a moment as far as what this means. But I assume they're gonna get money. So obviously you have that, but they're gonna get money no matter what. The question is, how does Sony benefit from this being day one on Game Pass? And there is nothing. There's literally nothing that is a benefit, in my opinion, for Sony in this regard.
No.
And
not unless it suddenly drives a bunch of people to start paying for microtransactions because they didn't have to pay for the game.
What's crazy to me is they've been working with MLB on what is considered one of the greatest sports franchises in all of gaming for close to a decade now. Maybe even more, maybe even a decade. And they've done very well with this franchise. So well with it that all the other ones backed away and said, we don't even want anything to do with MLB anymore. Something that MLB did not expect, and they sort of screwed themselves in that way. But that's not Sony's fault that they made a great MLB game and nobody else could. That's not their fault.
Their own RBI baseball, which nobody takes seriously.
So it's almost like they're penalizing PlayStation for being the only ones that could do a great MLB game. But what's really bizarre about that is after all these years of doing it so well, they did not have enough negotiation power last year when it was decided that Xbox was going to get these games and that was the only way that Sony could hold on to the license to be the ones developing it. Okay, I get that. They want to hold on to the license. They want to hold on to this IP. They probably make a good amount of money on it. But they didn't have enough power in that meeting to say, if this is going to Game Pass, we don't want it there day one. Okay, it's going to Game Pass. That's fine. It builds the audience. It builds the user base. That's a good thing for MLB as a whole. That's a good thing for DLC. But they couldn't say to MLB, give us 3 months before you put it on Game Pass. Yeah. They couldn't even get that.
Give us out 2. Give us something here.
They couldn't get that out of them after 10 years. Like, that's insane to me. And it feels like either Sony dropped the ball in the negotiations, or somehow they got screwed with some fine print. Of course, it's being published by MLB on Xbox. Like, did they just get totally blindsided by this? And if that's the case, like, what's the relationship like now? Are they hurt by this? Are like, do they want to keep making MLB after this? It's got to make them money, of course. But is it enough that they don't want to put Sony and San Diego on something else at this point? Vince, go ahead.
Well, like, it's weird. So the thing is that MLB 2020, if I remember right from what I was reading, was the number 18 bestseller of the entire year. It's a lot of games. It's a lot. It's a lot of people playing a baseball game on a certain platform, right? So the whole multi-platform thing, it would have been one thing if we would have saw a co-publishing deal with MLB and Sony on the Xbox versions, correct? The other things too is, like, if we know that Sony's making money off the Xbox version, I don't think things are going to be nearly as bad. However, if it's published by MLB and they're able to, like, cut in on that whole profit margin on that, I honestly do not expect Sony to do MLB The Show 2022. I seriously, I don't. It's all their proprietary tech. They were forced to make their one studio go from a single platform or 2 platforms, if you look about cross-gen, to all of a sudden you have to do multiple SKUs. Yeah. And from when the reviews right now, which I didn't put in how you're reviewing because, like, it's still all early.
Yeah.
But right now we got 2 7s on the board, which I think is strange for the series because I usually don't see that right off the bat. We do have one, like, 8 out of 10.
But it's worth mentioning that this is a sports game that is transitioning between multiple platforms.
Right. During a COVID year.
During a COVID year.
Yeah. It's a good thing to remind that. But, like, the other thing too is, like, people who are playing it right now are actually, like, not happy from what I can see. It looks like Return to the Show, or I think it's the game mode. I apologize if I'm saying that wrong.
Road to the Show.
Road to the Show. My bad. I am so sorry. Apparently that is awful now. They have apparently screwed the pooch on that one really bad.
It's really, really bad this year.
So
it's really unfortunate.
Yeah.
The only big thing that they added was the stadium creator.
Yes.
That's the one big thing they added.
And that is only available for next-gen consoles.
Right.
Yeah. So, I'm not saying it's a bad game. Do not get me wrong on anyone who's saying that. But I do feel that the relationship here, if Sony isn't getting a cut off microtransactions or something from the
if they're not getting MTX, it's done. They're not continuing making this.
That's where I'm thinking. Or the other thing too is the MTX cut being marginalized, as in, like, well, since it's on a different platform, Microsoft gets its cut first, and MLB gets its other cut, and then Sony gets that cut, the 3-way cut. Then I think there will be an issue. We'll have to see. We'll have to see how this all plays out. You know?
Yeah. All right.
Yeah, I just it's so interesting to see, like, how, and this is a business aspect because this is still making a lot of money for Sony.
It has to be
on PlayStation. They keep doing it for a reason. I'm so curious to see like how petty will Sony be here and just say, you know what, if we are not able to maximize our profits because MLB is forcing this on us, then you know what? No, we'd rather devote our resources somewhere else.
Well, that's the thing, right? That's what you have to remember is it's not like them giving up MLB just means, oh, they're just giving up MLB. It means that they have an entire studio that is now free to work on a new IP, potentially, that could turn into something great. And now they've worked on a sports game for 10 years. So
a lot of those people working at Sony San Diego are specifically there because they are so good at dealing with baseball, dealing with baseball sound, dealing with baseball animations, like all this stuff. These guys specialized in just this for 10 years.
Yeah.
And now you're going to tell them, well, guess what, guys? Now just make something else.
Right, that's the hard part. Is like, what else would they make?
And they might not even want to.
This is what they do. They do baseball. Yeah. So that's the other side of this that seems hard to remove.
And by the way, it better sell just as well as the show.
Right.
Whatever you make, it better sell just as well as the show. Or, you know what? We're not saying that we're gonna close Sony San Diego, but I don't know. I mean, things happen.
I pray to God not, but I do agree with the chat so far. I think the IP will stay with Sony because I do think it's valuable to Sony as long as they are getting their cut from all the Xbox Game Pass stuff. As long as that's all happening, I think the IP is still very valuable. I do think the relationship is probably damaged, but that doesn't mean that they're going to give up money, right? So, but an interesting close to 4. What could be considered PlayStation negative topics. PlayStation is doomed topics. And let's go to another short commercial break. When we come back, we are going to get into our seasonal segment, a brand new seasonal segment, which we are really, really excited about. Hold on tight. Hakume Tenshi will be right back. Welcome back to Season 2, Episode 1 of Next Level Gamescast, the Level Up Network's monthly gaming talk show live on Twitch at twitch.tv/levelupshow on the third Sunday of every month. Make sure you never miss an episode. Hit that heart button here and turn on notifications so you get alerts whenever we go live with either variety gaming or talk shows. But don't just follow here. Please make sure to follow Vince and Tom on their respective channels as well. You can type in !Vince or !Tom in chat to get their links. If you're watching or listening to this as an archive, hit the subscribe button on YouTube. Follow us on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, and of course, become a part of the community even when we are not live on Discord at discord.gg/thelevelupnetwork. Let's move on to our seasonal segment, of course, but a quick shout out as well to Derek for the $10 tippy, and of course, getting us one step closer to after show. Keep those tips coming, guys. If you want to keep us around to talk about anything and everything, entirely devoted to the chat. Our seasonal segment on Season 2, we are very excited about. It is Casting Call. Now, if you don't know what that is, it's something we've done a few times on the Level Up show long in the past. And it's really just our opportunity to take a video game and cast it as a live action movie or TV series. I think in this case, we're going to be focusing on movie because going along with the Metal Gear Solid season, it only makes sense that our first casting call would be for the Metal Gear Solid movie. Whoa. All of us huge fans of Metal Gear Solid here on Next Level Gamescast, so this is good stuff. This is really good stuff. We're going to start off, even though he has been cast, we are going to start off with Solid Snake, just in case things fall through with Oscar Isaac. Who would be our choices to replace him? Does anybody want to jump in here and have like a real, like, I needs to be this person. This is the person they should have been in the first place, maybe. Anybody? No. I know for a long time, the one that I always saw was Hugh Jackman.
Yeah, I agree with that one.
I think if it was 10 years ago, I would say Hugh Jackman for sure.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
That would have been like 100% perfection. I almost feel like the Metal Gear Solid 2 Shinkawa artwork was like made with Hugh Jackman in mind. Because that's not unusual in Metal Gear Solid. They all often use likenesses as inspiration. Kyle Reese, I'm calling Kyle Reese because Michael Biehn was an inspiration originally, for example. Another one I often see is Chris Evans.
I'm not sure about that one. Like, I think you could do it, but I'm still not sure about that.
And lastly, I saw you added this one, Vince.
I did. It's
Sebastian
funny.
Stan.
Yeah, it's actually because of watching Falcon the Winter Soldier. I was kind of like, you know what? He could do it. He's got like kind of like the cold demeanor. I think
agree.
that Snake has.
I can see it.
It could
I think
work
Oscar.
out.
Let me say, I think Oscar Isaac is a great choice. I think it's a very, very strong choice. Let me go to the browser here for a second. I want to show this image that I saw. Let me put it up for you guys. This is Scott Eastwood as a very young Solid Snake. We also got Chris Hemsworth here as a Peace Walker Snake. Same with Hugh Jackman here, and it's Hugh Jackman also as Big Boss. I gotta say, it shows how strong the likeness is because it's like that's just Hugh Jackman. It's just Hugh Jackman. It's like it's crazy. So Hugh Jackman really would have been absolutely fantastic. I do think Scott Eastwood, looks great as a young Solid Snake, but his acting chops aren't as strong as an Oscar Isaac for sure. I would say. Yeah. I think if I had to say, because Hugh Jackman is too old, I think we should stick with Oscar Isaac myself.
I agree with that.
I think he's a good choice.
Tom,
Tom, we can't hear you. You're muted. Uh-oh. There he is.
Still eating chips.
Gotcha. What were you going to say, Tom?
No, I was saying, shoot, what was I saying?
Oh, God.
I'm going to highlight
I agree.
Oscar Isaac as a choice.
If you were not going to do Oscar Isaac, I did like the idea of Sebastian Stan. I thought he's probably the next, especially after seeing him in Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
Yeah.
Like I'm like that sold me on him potentially being Snake, but obviously it's Oscar Isaac, and I could not be happier with that.
And he wanted the role. Oscar Isaac literally wanted the role.
Yeah.
So I think it's a great choice. Let's stick with Oscar Isaac in our film adaptation of Metal Gear Solid, and let's move on to something that's really tough because they're technically twins, clones, whatever. Liquid Snake, like. Do you just use Oscar Isaac again as Liquid Snake?
No, you see, he's got all the recessive genes, so you gotta remember that.
You're 100% right. So maybe they're just, not identical twins.
They're not identical twins. They're just twins.
Okay, so my first suggestion would be Nikolai Coster-Waldau, of course, Jaime Lannister from Game of Thrones. He's got the voice. He's got the suave sort of poking, like demeanor, like where he's jabbing you all the time with his wits. I feel like he encapsulates that pretty well, even in his Jaime Lannister role. Do we think he would be a good Liquid Snake?
From the little bit that I've seen of Game of Thrones, yes, I would agree with that.
Yeah, I have no reason to doubt that he would probably be able to fill that role in seamlessly.
Yeah,
but there's somebody else on this list that I would like to see more.
Okay, please tell me.
I like Tom Hiddleston.
That's the exact reason I put that on there is because, like Jaime Lannister, he's got that wit, he's got that jokey demeanor, but he's also jabbing you at the same time. Yeah. As Loki, I 100% agree, and he also has a relationship with Jordan Vogt-Roberts because he starred in Skull Island.
Yeah.
So they have that relationship already.
Absolutely.
And plus, he could ham up that role so well.
Oh, without a doubt.
And honestly, if you got to play Liquid, you have to ham up that role as best as you can. Like there is no subtlety, there is no anything else that you have to do with Liquid except for be just that like annoying, like constantly coming in, but then like also being able to play McDonald Miller.
Yep.
Right. That's very important. Very important that he's got to fake people out as McDonald Miller. Another couple I put on here, Michael Fassbender. I think not as good as a Nikolai Coster-Waldau or Tom Hiddleston, but another one that I think kind of vibes with what we're going for with Loki and Jaime Lannister, Anthony Starr. You guys know who that is?
I don't. Please fill me
in. He is Homelander from The Boys.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
He's
that blonde. He's got the blonde hair, of course, and he's got the creepiness to him. He's definitely got a creepiness to him.
Yeah.
Let me put him up on screen for you guys here so you can see him. That's another one that kind of popped in my mind here. I've really only seen him as Homelander.
Yeah. I mean,
I don't know him from anything else off the top of my head. But when you look at this picture, like you can see it. You can see it. He's got the natural look to him. I would be curious how he works. I don't know if he's going to have to work with is he an English actor or is he an American actor?
I think he's American. I'm pretty sure he's American.
And then my second question is, he's got to work with a voice coach to
Right.
try and
you got to get that
nail.
voice, right? Yeah.
You gotta get that voice, man. It's gotta
We're
be.
moving on to Otacon here, so we got to make our decision, though, guys. What do we think?
I think it's Hiddleston.
You think it's Hiddleston?
I think it's Hiddleston.
Yeah, I would be more comfortable with Hiddleston, at least because I know how that could be, and I know he could ham it up.
Yeah.
Okay. It probably would lean towards Waldo, but I will go with Hiddleston. I think he's also a great choice. I'll allow it.
Okay, thank you.
So we got Oscar Isaac as Solid Snake. We got Tom Hiddleston as Liquid Snake, and now we got Otacon, which is a tough one. It's a really tough one.
It's so hard.
It's not great. Yeah.
I've always seen a lot of people say Joseph Gordon-Levitt, but that was like 10 years ago. He's still a young-looking guy, though, Joseph Gordon-Levitt. I think he could fill that role. He doesn't have the sort of like high-pitched nerdiness of Otacon from the game. I think he would kind of be definitely a different approach to Otacon than what we've seen in the game.
Yeah.
Cillian Murphy also very often brought up, but I think he might be a little bit too creepy, which is one of the reasons I actually have him suggested potentially for another role later on as well. But Cillian Murphy often brought up he was Scarecrow in Batman Begins, of course. He was in Inception, 28 Days Later. Very, very good actor. But one that I threw in here, he's a very young actor. So we would go with a young Otacon to a 40-something-year-old Solid Snake, which I think could actually be kind of interesting.
Doesn't it work that way though?
He's definitely younger. He's not this young. This actor is
Okay.
25, but he's an amazing young actor. And he also has a sort of wisdom but beyond his years, in my opinion. One of the reasons he was chosen for the main character in Dune, his name is Timothy Chalamet.
Yeah, I could see that.
I've seen him on SNL plenty of times now, and he is hilarious.
Mm-hmm.
So I could definitely see Timothy go there.
He is really a great actor. My first introduction to him was Call Me by Your Name, and he blew me away in that movie. And I think he has sort of, I feel like he could play nerdy just fine. He's handsome, don't get me wrong, he's definitely handsome, but I feel like he could play nerdy very well. And I like the idea of a young Otacon with
there is
with
one
an older
actor on here that was not listed that I think that we didn't throw into our pre-listing.
Okay.
Anthony Taylor. I'm sorry, not Anthony.
Aaron
Taylor
Thomas? Johnson. Yes, from
Kick-Ass.
Quicksilver, of course.
Also played Quicksilver.
Yep,
I can see it. He has the look, especially if you look back with him on Kick-Ass. He has that look where he could be that. I mean, he doesn't have to have the straight hair. He can have the curly hair.
Yeah.
And still fill that role. I think he plays a very and plus he's older now, so he can play like a more seasoned Otacon.
It's tough.
I think personally, I'm leaning towards Timothy Chalamet. I like his look. I like his range. I think he could do, like as you said, Tom. People didn't see it until recently, but he actually has some comedic chops.
Yeah,
he's been drama in all of his roles pretty much, and he's such a great drama actor.
There's a little bit of that you have to bring into it.
Oh yes, 100%.
This is a guy who pees his pants famously.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think it's.
I want to see what he would do with it. I think he's an interesting choice, and I like that about him. I don't think people would expect that. I haven't seen anybody else say him for Otacon, and I kind of like that about it.
Yeah.
You guys okay with it?
I'm okay with it.
I'm okay with it. Yeah.
Nice. Moving on from Otacon, our next is Colonel Campbell. Now, the thing about Colonel Campbell is that he is a questionable character, right? He's one of those ones where he's supposed to be good, but as the game goes on, you start to question him, like where his allegiances lie. And even in the second game as well, he's always been this character where it's like, whose side are you on?
Right.
So you need somebody that plays that line, that straddles that line really well. And I feel like we've got to get Mads Mikkelsen in this game. In this movie, it's got to get Mads Mikkelsen in here, right?
Yeah.
And Mads Mikkelsen is that to me as Hannibal. Why is he likable? Why am I rooting for Hannibal? As what's the other one that was just on top of my brain? Even in Death Stranding, it's like is he the villain? Is he the good guy? Like he's always been an actor to me where he does straddle that line. Like I like him so much, but he plays villains so often. So what do you guys, he's not somebody that looks necessarily like Colonel Campbell, but what would you guys think of Mads Mikkelsen?
I mean, I like it. It's just, I don't know. There's someone holding me back on there. I don't know what it is.
I get it. I know. I'm just trying to force him into this movie, and I think
the problem with Campbell is that he's another one of those characters that was specifically based off of an actor. He was specifically based
Sean
off
Connery.
of Richard Crenna's Sam Troutman from Rambo.
Oh, really? I thought it was Sean Connery. Oh, no. Big Boss was Sean Connery.
Big Boss was Sean Connery.
Yeah, Big Boss was Sean
Campbell
Connery.
is specifically supposed to be Colonel Sam Troutman from the Rambo series.
Yeah. You're right. You are correct.
So,
thank you for fixing that, fake fans.
If you're going to be Richard Crenna, like, it's tough because you like everybody's got to like try to fit that look. I think that one of the better options that you could go with here as an authority figure who kind of straddles that line, I think is actually Jeremy Irons.
Jeremy Irons is good. How old do we expect Colonel Campbell to be, though?
I still expect him to be pretty old. At least he's got to be old enough where he has at least an adult, like young adult daughter.
100%. Yes.
Yeah.
For sure.
And granted, like
the most common suggestion, without a doubt, is Bryan Cranston.
Yeah, a lot of people say that, and I can definitely see that, especially after Cranston's portrayal of Walter White,
which again straddles that line, right? Where he's
yeah.
good guy, he's bad guy. So I get that one, and he does look, I think, a fair bit like Colonel Campbell in a lot of ways, more so than Jeremy Irons, that's for sure. He's kind of the safe pick, I would say. He's definitely the most common choice I've seen, but I personally, I like him more than Jeremy Irons for the role. Jeremy Irons, of course, played Alfred most recently in Justice League and all that. I don't know. I'm leaning towards Bryan Cranston here.
Yeah. I'm fine with that.
Yeah, I'm fine. I'm with Cranston on that. I like Irons. I think Irons would fit more in like one of the actual like Foxhound unit guys, maybe potentially, or maybe even the sequel.
Interesting. We'll have to talk about that on a later date because we're moving on to probably the second biggest one in a lot of ways, because it's that love interest to our Solid Snake, right? It's got to have that chemistry with Oscar Isaac for Meryl Silverberg. Who is going to have that chemistry with Oscar Isaac? Now, the question is, like, how young should we go? She's got to be young because she's the daughter of the Colonel. But I also don't think it should be creepy young either. Like, right? Like, it's Oscar Isaac, who's 44. Now, I'm going to go off with one that is the youngest because I'm going to get it out of the way right now. I most recently saw her in Queen's Gambit where she had the red hair, and I thought she looked beautiful in that. And she does. I do feel like she could pull off action pretty well. Her name is Anya Taylor-Joy. She's an amazing actress because she was nominated, and I think she might have won actually for Queen's Gambit most recently. Put her up on screen here. And even like the way her hair like curls at the bottom in Queen's Gambit. She's 25 right now, I think, if I remember right. So mid-20s, which is kind of probably what Meryl is around in Metal Gear Solid, I bet.
Right.
So what do you guys think?
You know what? This is going to be kind of out of left field, but and not as one of these lists. But if we wanted to go somebody who's younger, Millie Bobby Brown.
Too young. No,
yeah.
That crosses into creepy without a doubt.
No. Right now, Millie is 17 years old, right?
Yes.
By the time they haven't started filming this movie yet, so keep that in mind as well.
It's gonna be 19, maybe at most, dude. Like, I don't know.
But hey, 19, you're of legal age to fight in a war and die for the country.
Yes, but we're not thinking about legal here. We're thinking about what's going to look right on screen, and I'm not sure Oscar Isaac, 44 years old, is going to look right falling in love with 19-year-old Millie Bobby Brown. I don't know, dude. I think that's too much.
You're asking me, and look, when she's got the bob, because I've seen her with the bob, it's very close to Meryl's.
Yeah.
I'm gonna veto that one, I'm gonna say, and I'm gonna move on to some other picks. What about Emily Blunt? She's like 30, late 30s, so it's kind of tough, right? I think she's great. I think she's got the action star vibe. She was great in Edge of Tomorrow, but I think she's probably a little too old, right? In combination with the story here, Colonel Campbell having a young daughter and all that, right? You guys know who Emily Blunt is, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to go past that one. Karen Gillan, of course, from Avengers. She was also in Jumanji. She's got the red hair. She pulls off the action star pretty well in that. Let me put her up on screen here.
Also famously from, and you can get a good look at generally how she might look in that movie by looking at her in Jumanji.
Exactly what I have up on screen. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, she looks it there. That's for sure, right? She's got it going on that
Yeah,
one.
definitely. She's got kind of the look, so she can definitely. If there's anybody here who looks the closest to what you would think Meryl would be, it's probably definitely Karen.
Let me look up her age real quick. Karen Gillan is 33, which I think that's pretty good.
33. Yeah, and she and not trying to be ageist here, but she definitely has enough of a look where she can be passed off as being younger and inexperienced.
I'd follow her around, says Turok.
Yeah,
I knew it was coming. I knew eventually we would get some comments like that. Amelia Clark. No? Yes? Maybe? No? From Game of Thrones? Daenerys?
I don't see it.
No. Brie Larson.
I do see that.
I do too. She's 31.
And I think that for me though, she would go all in on the role. Yeah. Because she's a gamer.
And she was in Skull Island.
Yeah.
So once again, she has a relationship with the director.
One other quick out of left field, guys, and I don't know if you want to take it because she's Irish. Becky Lynch.
Hold on.
I don't know who that is, Tom. I'm sorry.
Becky Lynch, professional wrestler in WWE.
Okay.
I mean,
does
she have any acting chops? She was in that one movie, right? She was in.
She was in a movie, and plus acting chops. She's in WWE. Yeah. that tells you something. But she's got kind of the look. She's got the red hair. Well, I mean,
I'd prefer going with somebody that is an actress myself. Now, granted, like Dwayne the Rock Johnson started off in wrestling.
She would have the physical attributes to handle.
But we all know it's much more important than physical to match the role, to match the personality. That's what we're seeing with Last of Us. You know, they don't look like Joel and Ellie necessarily.
And the other issue too is that I don't think that she has an American accent. I think she specifically can only really speak with her Irish accent.
This is between myself. I would say Anya Taylor-Joy and Brie Larson. Myself.
I would vote for Brie on that.
I think Brie's a good choice. I think Anya's a little young, but what?
I'm still a Karen guy.
Karen's good too. Yeah, Karen's good too. That's a tough one. Karen Gillan versus Brie Larson.
It's up down to you, Drew. You can be the tiebreaker. I'm pretty much Brie, I think.
Do you want a coin flip, Drew?
Let's do Karen.
Karen? Okay.
Let's do Karen Gillan. Okay. Karen Gillan as Meryl Silverberg, and we're moving on to Revolver Asala Shalashaska. Now, the one that would be like the best in the world, but this guy barely does movies, and when he does, they're like the best movies ever. Daniel Day-Lewis would be just phenomenal.
Yeah, we can just cross him off because there's no way he's doing that movie.
Yeah, that's the question though. Are we trying to be realistic here in like scheduling and like who would actually do the role?
Yeah.
Well, or is this just our dream cast?
You just nailed me on Millie Bobby Brown. So like, then if we're gonna do that, then no, there's no way ever that Daniel Day-Lewis would do this movie.
Gary Oldman.
I like it.
I like it, but not nearly as much as our next one.
Yes, this is my choice too. Viggo Mortensen.
Yeah, it's Viggo.
Put him up on screen. Let's do it. Look at him. Look at that man. He's a great actor. Academy Award nominated actor. Freaking Aragorn here. But when he's got the right facial hair, he can pull off that cowboy. He's played a villain before. In Eastern Promises, kind of a villain. I feel it. I think Viggo Mortensen is the pick here, and we can.
This gun is the best gun ever.
You okay with that, Vince?
Oh yeah, absolutely, 100%.
Such a great actor.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Viggo Mortensen.
Something exhilarating about reloading in the middle of battle.
That was a quick one. I'm glad that went quick. This one is tough. This one's
tough.
Yeah,
I have a really hard time with this one. Let's move on to Sniper Wolf. I don't know, man.
It's hard. I like, the more I thought about it, though, the more I kind of do like Elizabeth Olsen in this because of like how passive of a role she has in the game. You know, like she's only there for really a boss fight and a couple cutscenes, really.
She gonna do her Sakuian accent?
No, absolutely not. That would be the only hard part, I think. But I don't know. Like after seeing like how her range can be in WandaVision, I think she could sell that speech very well. You know, her death
Her
speech.
death speech, yeah. It's a
Oh my
good
God,
scene.
she could nail that. She would nail that 100% in my opinion.
Do you think that she's the right age for it? I kind of always
That's
imagined Sniper Wolf being a little older myself.
okay. I mean, probably not then if we're gonna do that way.
No, I'm curious what age did you guys vision Sniper Wolf being?
You know, I didn't really think about that.
It could be
She
anywhere
knew Big
between
Boss.
like,
Remember?
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, anybody can know Big Boss from him.
No, like knew him
she
like
knew.
in person, like she knew
Yeah.
him.
Right.
So that would
So
put
she's
her
got
at
to
what?
be a little older, I would think.
She's got to be like,
Let me
because
see
that
if I
would
can
have been.
find.
Oh my God, my knowledge. Why is it not here right now?
I don't see anything about her age on Wikipedia.
Timelines.
I would
Born
say,
in present day, around 1983, she was born.
Yeah.
So yeah, she's like 40 years old almost.
And Olsen is how old?
Probably
Now
young
that I
30s, I would think. Let me just check. Elizabeth Olsen. She is 32. So not too far off.
You could kind of pull it off, especially if you given the delay of production. You could
Yeah.
kind of pull it off. But
Are you guys against Charlize Theron?
I'm not crazy about Charlize Theron.
Okay. I feel like you need that femme fatale feel.
Kind of, but you know what? I would actually be interested, and I didn't list this in there because I've just been thinking about it recently. Somebody who I would like to see, honestly, would be Florence Kashumba.
Okay, Florence Kashumba.
That's with a K. She plays Ao in Black Panther and is one of the Dora Milaje that you may have seen recently from Falcon and the Winter Soldier. If you wanted to go a separate direction and not have her be Russian, but you wanted her to be, she could still have been a former child soldier working in Africa and worked as a sniper.
I like
and
that.
It would have been, it would be different by bringing her in because let's face it, when you're looking at this, aside from Vulcan Raven, the majority of this, the majority of the lineup here is hella white.
Mm-hmm. I agree, 100%. You're right.
I like that idea.
I like this. If you're doing the, I don't want to say this in like a derogatory way, but if you're doing the race swap, which I do agree, like they probably should do one. It's a very white game.
Yes.
I think that's a really good choice.
I think it's a great way. Exactly.
I like her a lot too. She's great in Falcon and Winter Soldier. I want to do it. Let's do it, guys.
I'm down
Florence
for it.
Kasumba.
No.
Good,
way to go, Tom.
Good pull there, Tom.
Look at
me. That.
Look at me pulling.
Look at you go. Look at you go. Moving on to a big one. Psycho Mantis. Now you gotta get somebody that has that creepiness, right? They gotta have the creepiness going on.
And for me, there's only one answer for this one.
Okay. Go ahead.
It's our first one there, as I just lost our
Jackie Earle Haley.
Jackie Earle Haley. I think it's him.
Here's my problem with Jackie Earle Haley is he's incredibly short. And I know physical is not the most important thing, but when it comes to Psycho Mantis, I think the creepiness in a large way comes from how long and lanky and contortionist like he is. And that's why classic contortionist actor Doug Jones would be a great choice. Let me put him up on screen for you guys. He has been Pan's Labyrinth. He has been Hellboy. He has been Silver Surfer. He is the go-to tall, lanky, contortionist, creepy guy.
Yeah.
But you know, he's not. He hasn't doesn't have the most amazing acting chops. I don't think he's fine actor. His face doesn't really matter too much because it's going to be all scarred up and disgusting looking
and covered in a
mostly covered in a mask. So, but that's I think like a high one for me personally.
And
but
granted,
yes,
you don't really need him because look, Psycho Mantis hams it up too. I mean, so basically, you just need him to just be like,
Now I brought up earlier Cillian Murphy as Otacon. What do you think of Cillian Murphy as Psycho Mantis?
Cillian Murphy. I feel like we're trying to like shoehorn him into this movie. some
He's
ways.
the reason I thought is I do think Cillian Murphy is creepy.
Yeah.
I think he's got a creepiness factor to him that I think he could bring out in Psycho Mantis. But okay, forget that. What about Christoph Waltz?
No. That's like Christoph. I think would be wasted on Psycho Mantis.
Save him for the next movie.
Yeah, I would save him for the next movie.
Okay.
What about just a little quick suggestion here? What about Paul Bettany?
Ooh.
Yeah, I can see that.
if you're going for, he's 6'3" from what I'm looking at his stats
definitely
here.
tall. Yep.
And the thing is too, he doesn't have very many. The Psycho Mantis doesn't have many lines in the movie to begin with. So I think if you could have someone who could do like that heavy punching with a single line, I think you could do that with him.
It's not bad. Not bad.
I you know what? I'm gonna go with Vince. I like Paul Bettany, and he deserves to be in more things.
What's your only hesitation on that, Drew?
I don't know what it is, honestly. My hesitation. I like Paul Bettany a lot. He's a great actor.
Yeah.
Maybe it's because for me, like I know him so well.
Could be.
Like I've seen him in so many things, but
You just loved him in A Knight's Tale.
Can't disagree. I'm gonna allow it.
Sweet. Yes. I did.
Way to go, Vince. Way to go, Vince. You did it, man. You did it.
We both get one.
You did it. All right, moving on to Vulcan Raven. I think there's one person that is this, and I'm going to say it right now, I think it's Christopher Judge. Kratos.
Christopher Judge makes a strong argument.
He's got the look. He actually
does.
like looks like he's that. What is the ethnicity of Vulcan Raven?
He's supposed to be a Alaskan shaman.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yes.
An Inuit shaman.
So ideally, you go with somebody that actually is that, but I don't think that Christopher Judge is that.
No, and actually, none of the people that we have listed, because one of the other ones, Dave Bautista.
No.
Mm-hmm.
And the closest that you could get to it would be Jason Momoa. But I think Jason, I don't think you're getting him to shave off his head.
Oh my god!
I think his locks are very much a big part of his look, and I don't think he would. I think he would have a lot of hesitation on doing that.
Well, would he really need to shave his head? I mean, if they were kind of going for a little bit of a character design, I know Vulcan Raven's bald, but like, I think you could still make the tattoos work, especially in a more modern setting.
Well, his tattoos, I think you would have to paint over, because all of Vulcan Raven's tattoos are very much in keeping, and this is unfortunately too where like cultural appropriation kind of gets a little weird, because you're dealing with Inuit tattooing, and it's going to be real difficult when you're putting that on either a dude who's Samoan, a dude who's black, or a dude who is Latin.
It's a tough one.
Yeah, it is a tough one.
Because
I think of the list we have right now, Christopher Judge is the best choice, I think.
Christopher Judge, I think, is the best choice. You may just have to alter his Vulcan's
backstory a little bit. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I guess we could do some research into Alaskan Inuits that are...
Yeah, unless we can find the good Inuit actors, which we...
Yeah, which I'm sure there are plenty.
Yeah,
but,
I'm sure there's plenty.
That's the question. All right, maybe we'll come back to right now. We're gonna go with Christopher Judge because we got to move on. Let's go to Mei Ling, and I got one I hope you guys will agree with right off the bat. We've been doing a lot of MCU here. I feel like let's keep in that realm and go with Palm Clementif.
I like it.
Mantis.
Yeah.
From Guardians of the Galaxy.
It's quirky. It's quirky. She can play that quirky role perfectly.
I feel like she's great. All right. Palm Clementif as Mei Ling and Naomi Hunter. To me, again, go with MCU. What about Haley Atwell? You guys know who Haley Atwell is, right?
Yeah. I could see it.
You put Naomi Hunter up on screen. Here's the thing: in the original Metal Gear Solid, she had that accent, and then they got rid of it later on.
Yeah.
So
it's one of those weird things. Yeah.
Yeah, very weird. So Haley Atwell actually is British. So that kind of works with the original depiction character of Naomi Hunter. But she could do an American accent as well, of course. The other one would be Rose Byrne. Here's the thing about Naomi to keep in mind is that she has a villainy to her in a way.
A secret villainy, like in the game, she very much starts getting into very corporate government speak at some points. Whenever the conspiracy starts to unravel, she starts giving the company line of, the president, of course, would not do this.
Right. I feel like Haley Atwell fits that governmental, vibe pretty well, I would say. For sure.
You could also go with, if you wanted to, what's her face? From How I Met Your Mother, who was in
she's also in the MCU. You're talking about
Robin. Also in the MCU.
Maria Hill.
Her name.
Maria Hill. Who plays Maria Hill?
Looking for it right now.
I like Haley Atwell more than her for this myself.
Colby Smulders.
Yeah, she's good though. I like her. I don't know if that she will be the secretly awful that we need. I don't know.
We've seen her because again, she's very much also acted in some of the movies that she's been in. She's acted very much in that government aspect of just being like, I don't have time for your shit. Like this is the government line. This is what it is. I'm here to give you facts, but then has like just enough undertone where she can show some emotion and like start getting like very upset over Gray Fox.
I'll let you guys decide on this one. I'm okay with either Colby Smulders or Haley Atwell.
What do you think, Tom?
All that being said, as much as I've just given Colby time, I think it's Haley.
Yes.
Yeah, I think it's Haley.
I wanted to at least make us think a little bit.
I got you. Nice. Haley Atwell as Naomi Hunter. And let's do a quick thing. I just want to say I think Jared Harris should be Kenneth Baker. He's from Chernobyl. I think he would be a great Kenneth Baker. And who should be the voice of Gray Fox?
Benedict Cumberbatch.
We're just doing all MCU, aren't we?
No, because he could just his voice acting is just he could do it.
I think he's a black guy myself.
I mean, I'm fine with that too. Let's do that.
Again, you're talking about trying to get a guy who was basically like a child soldier. So I think you could probably go with another black actor there.
I think it should definitely be a black actor myself. It has to have that. I like the deep voice of him in the original Metal Gear Solid. I love that voice he has. There's that one black actor that's like known for that. He's like the deep voice black actor. I can't think of his name. He's in like the Allstate commercials.
I know who you're talking about.
Not him. Not him. I'm just that's the first guy I thought of. We did Roy Campbell, and we decided on Bryan Cranston, which is a common pick for him. But if we had a quick choice, I would have gone with that. But let's move on. We spent enough time. Let's go through our cast for Metal Gear Solid. Solid Snake we will keep as Oscar Isaac. Liquid Snake, his brother, so to speak, will be Tom Hiddleston.
Brother.
Otacon will be Timothy Chalamet, which I think is I'm really happy with that one. I really like that choice.
Yeah.
Colonel Campbell is Bryan Cranston. Meryl Silverberg is Karen Gillan. Revolver Ocelot, Viggo Mortensen. Sniper Wolf, Florence Kasumba. Psycho Mantis, Paul Bettany. Vulcan Raven, Christopher Judge, but we're not sure about that one. And Mei Ling, Pom Clementif. And finally, Naomi Hunter will be Haley Atwell. We're not doing Decoy Octopus because there is no point in doing Decoy Octopus. He can be anybody. Decoy Octopus, you don't even see him, actually. He's the DARPA chief.
Yeah, you just see
you would actually be better off casting the DARPA chief. Because you don't see Decoy Octopus.
Who suddenly was a very big portion of Metal Gear lore.
Yeah.
Yes.
Meryl is Karen Gillan. Dark Side Retro. She's from Jumanji, for example. There you have it. That is our casting call for the month. We will come back with another video game that we'll be casting next month. But right now, we got to burn through this show. We got to do the speed run, you guys. We got 15 stories, and I'm going to say 25 minutes on the clock, but I'm thinking we're actually going to go pretty quick on this one. First up, we do have a delay watch. Deathloop has been delayed. We've made the decision to delay the launch of Deathloop to September 14th, 2021. We're committed to quality and preserving our team's ambitions for Deathloop while ensuring the health and safety of everyone at Arcane. We'll be using this extra time to accomplish our goal, create a fun, stylish, and mind-bending player experience. We apologize for the extended wait and thank you all for your passion and excitement. Blah, blah, blah. Do you guys think that we see Ghostwire Tokyo also get delayed?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah,
I agree.
I think that's well overdue.
Yeah. Moving on. Jaffe rumor. Jaffe's been in this show a lot tonight. Sony is preparing a counterpunch to Xbox Game Pass, he says. I've said time and time again that people who are writing Jim Ryan's obituary are way premature. He said in a video published on his YouTube channel on Thursday. We had the guy on the show yesterday that had made the petition to fire Jim Ryan. And I was like, dude, that's way premature because Jim Ryan doesn't owe anybody. Sony doesn't owe anybody. The truth about what's coming and what their counterpunch to Game Pass is, what I can tell you is that I know they are doing some stuff because I know people at Sony who have told me that they are doing some stuff. There will be a response to Game Pass. Is it PlayStation Now just being adapted, do you guys think? Or do you think it's like something brand new?
I think they... Yeah, go ahead, Vince.
No, go ahead. No, go ahead, Tom.
I was just going to say that they could probably do it as something, but they're going to rebrand it as something else. I don't think they'll make it PlayStation Now. I think they'll rebrand it as another name.
I still think it's going to be what my prediction was. There's going to be another subscription service they're going to add. So I still think they're going to do. Not even that. I even said that. I said there's going to be one that's going to be sort of like a hybrid. It's not going to be as dense as Game Pass. It's going to be very much more of a limited selection, marquee title type deal. Sort of something like a humble bundle or anything like that. That'll be what their next big thing will be.
Going with the poll in the chat, do you think that PlayStation needs to have a counterpunch to Game Pass?
I mean, I guess.
Do they? Do they, Tom?
I suppose. I mean, yeah. You know what? It wouldn't hurt them to have it. I would just say that, like, it could only help
for
them to have a counter.
Depending on what it is, it could devalue their first party games. It could, destroy what they've set up there as far as.
Well, the one thing I don't think they would be able to do that that Microsoft is definitely clearly able to do and wants to do is they wouldn't put their first party games up on Game Pass immediately. Like that might be like a 6 to 12 month situation.
Some tweaks to Game Pass, but in essence, very similar. Moving on. Sony has invested another $200 million into Epic Games. What is going on here, you guys?
Nice little partnership. It's also mostly for that actually wasn't PlayStation. It was the entire group who did that.
Sony Pictures. They're
Yeah.
Let's not forget. I think it's Mandalorian, right? That's using Unreal Engine. Is that correct?
It's the green. It's any the background effects you see. It's a different type of green screen effect. It's being used in movies, music, games, everything now. Unreal is huge. So I just think this is just one of those things of like.
Do we see this sort of battle here where Sony teams up with Epic and Microsoft teams up with Steam?
I mean, if you're gonna see that type of team up, I mean, Microsoft wins if it's Steam.
I certainly hope that that's not the case.
I'm sure you guys saw how much Epic invested into the Epic Game Store at this point, right? And how much they are really suffering as a result of that.
Yeah, but hey, they're putting the work into it. That's for sure.
Right.
They are. Bloomberg, again, with another article, this one about Square Enix saying that multiple buyers are interested in Square Enix.
Oh, no!
Several potential buyers have shown interest. That is CTFN reporting, citing 2 bank officials familiar with the situation. It is not clear whether the game department is the only one of interest or the company as a whole. Square Enix's digital entertainment business accounted for 72% of total revenue in the fiscal year ending March 31st, 2020. Square Enix did respond to this, saying, Bloomberg has reported today that there is interest from several buyers to acquire Square Enix. However, this report is not based on any announcement by Square Enix Holdings. We do not consider selling off the company or any part of our businesses, nor have we received any offer from any third party to acquire the company or any part of its businesses. However, insiders, multiple, are saying that both Microsoft and Sony are in these potential buyers. Now, if Square Enix doesn't want to sell, then who cares? It's done.
Yeah, I mean, there's 2 parts of this that are very clear. They say that they are not currently considering selling off any of the company, and they have not received an offer. But that does not mean that they haven't heard either of these companies expressed interest.
Right.
They very much could have been receiving potential feelers, just being like, hey, just hypothetically speaking, if you were, like, how much would you think it would be?
Mm-hmm.
which is honestly both companies doing their due diligence.
Yeah. I'm going to come off with like a complete fanboy here, but I will say if this were to go to Microsoft, I would be devastated.
It would be a devastating turn for you on the fanboy perspective, but Sony as a whole, this would be devastating to them.
Oh, 100%.
Oh, yeah.
This would be absolutely devastating to Sony.
It would be the single, I think, most damaging thing, far beyond any other of Microsoft's acquisitions, if Square goes to Microsoft.
And I'll be completely honest, and I said this on Discord, I would refuse to buy an Xbox if this were to go. I would only play it on PC. Even if they refuse to put it on PC, I would literally stop playing Final Fantasy.
Right.
Because this is completely against everything that Microsoft has promised they would be if they were to do this. It doesn't fall in line with any of what they're preaching right now. And for them to go after a studio that is so tied to the legacy of PlayStation, it really just would... It would be like PlayStation going after 343 if it were to like or Bungie right. for that matter, even like and I'm not saying that wouldn't happen, but it would be so against so far what Microsoft has set themselves up to be.
I like it that it took you a minute because you were just like, well, what are the established Microsoft studios?
There are, and I would say Bethesda kind of is one of them to a certain extent.
But here's the thing, though. We're talking about like established that have been there throughout Microsoft's history. We're not talking about something that they just owned for 5 minutes.
Yeah, without doubt. It would be absolutely devastating because it would mean me parting ways with my favorite franchise of all time. Like, I don't want Microsoft to get anywhere close to deciding the future of something like Final Fantasy.
Right.
Sony has played a part in Final Fantasy for decades now, and for God's sakes, they saved Square Enix in 2001 by buying their stock when Spirits Within was a complete and utter bomb, and then Square Enix sold those stocks back, those shares back when Sony needed the help. There's a relationship and a history there that it would blow my mind if Square Enix were to allow this to happen, and I don't think it would be good for them. I really don't. I don't think that Japan would take to this nicely. I don't think that their developers would take to this nicely. I know money talks in the end. And if Microsoft puts $15 billion on the table, then okay. But even if they were to take that, it might be devastating to Square Enix as well. There might be a mass exodus of talent there. Keep in mind, they're not just Square Enix. There's Eidos and there's more, but man, the Japanese arm, which is what of course Xbox would be going after, might fall apart. It might not even be what it is right now if this were to go through. So I hope nobody picks up Square Enix. I hope they stay independent forever, third party. But if anybody were to pick it up, it should be Sony.
You would think, yeah.
For another reason, to restore balance. If Xbox were to pick up Square Enix, they would have like a 20 studio advantage over Sony at that point.
Right.
It would be absolutely ridiculous. It would just be so unbalanced. Like, we don't want that. That's not what anybody should want. Nobody should want this. I understand this, like, if they pick them up, Game Pass, get Square Enix games. Like, that's the short-sighted view of this, without a doubt. That is 100% short-sighted. This is really like putting an imbalance in competition if this were to come to pass. Like a major imbalance. If this were to happen and Xbox would just keep throwing money at Capcom and Square Enix and all these others, it is not good for gamers. Not at all. I know you get your Game Pass games, but it's not good for gamers. Anyway. Moving on. We got our NPD results. Outriders. Number 3.
Yeah. It's a good, strong debut.
Yeah. Monster Hunter Rise, number 2.
Mm-hmm. 4 million copies already.
Yeah. Pretty crazy.
Yeah.
But I think what really blew my mind, software-wise, here, is that Miles Morales has already outsold both The Last of Us Part 2 and Ghost of Tsushima Lifetime.
Power of Spider-Man, dude.
Dude.
Power of Spider-Man.
I knew it was doing well because it's Spider-Man. But it's like, that's crazy numbers. Yeah. That is absolutely crazy
not
numbers.
A mature game, too. Like parents are gonna go and get Spider-Man for their kids. They're not gonna get Last of Us Part 2, Drew.
Mm-hmm. Are people calling me out for lying? I would not. I'm not lying to you. Here's the thing. I don't have to worry about that because I know that it's going to come to PC if Xbox were to pick up Square Enix. But if they refuse to put it on PC, I would be like, screw them, screw Square Enix, screw all this. I'm done. Like, no way. That goes against everything. So no, I'm not lying. I guarantee you I would not play it. Hardware wise, Switch #1 in dollar and unit sales. PS5 is now the fastest selling console of all time in both dollar and unit sales.
Fire Jim Ryan.
He can't He can't keep getting away with it. Can't keep getting away with it, guys.
Getting away with it, you guys. How can he be allowed to destroy Sony and also have the best selling console of all time? We can't allow it.
No.
Moving on. Rumor and leak from Dusk Golem. Resident Evil 7, 8, and 9 are a trilogy, according to him. We're going to see that ultimately with 9 when they reveal it, but it is all an intertwined story, supposedly, Tom.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely seemed that they were going to go this route because for whatever reason, it seems like Resident Evil definitely is going in this like 3-step ways. Like 1, 2, and 3 obviously are extremely connected. 4, 5, and 6, at least gameplay wise, are very connected. And now you're seeing it with 7, 8, and 9, which I think is the best way to treat this, honestly. And I like the way that they're treating this as like 3 separate trilogies.
That's cool. It's very cool. Did you play the demo? Anybody?
I played the original demo. I haven't played the new one, which I don't think is out yet. Is it?
No, it's out. You can't play it now.
It's already gone.
It's already come and gone. So
wait, no, don't you have until 1 a.m.? I thought you had one.
No, that was 1 a.m. today.
Oh, okay.
Like,
yeah,
you know,
I was unfortunately was not by my console. I was with the lady, so I had to make a choice there, guys. And unfortunately, sometimes.
Well, you have another chance. That's not the only news we got. We had the Resident Evil 8 showcase yesterday. The Village demo was April 17th, but the Castle demo is April 25th. Tom.
And then a week after that will be the Village plus Castle demo, which will give you 60 minutes to play the demo.
Yeah.
Yes.
Resident Evil Village will bring back Mercenaries mode. First time since Resident Evil 6, and this time in first person. Capcom also showed off some of the new features, perks, and abilities players can expect, including power bonuses and the ability to purchase new weapons between waves of enemies.
Excited for it. Love me some Mercenaries. And it's going to be very interesting because this will be the first Mercenaries in first person.
Yeah, very cool. Resident Evil 4 is returning in VR.
So crazy.
Oculus Quest 2 motion controls for interacting with objects, using firearms, slicing away at enemies with your combat knife. Complete overhaul of the game. Kind of surprising.
I mean, Resident Evil 4 at this point is going to be very much in the same vein as Skyrim.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say, yeah.
We're going to figure out a new way for you to buy this game, and guess what? I'm going to buy it.
Yeah.
And the console specs. On PS5, you're getting, and Xbox Series X, you're getting 4K HDR 60 FPS.
Mm-hmm.
But with ray tracing turned on, that goes down to 45. However, the videos that came out today show higher than 45. They're showing like 50 to 55.
Yeah, so it's unstable is what it is, and it's going to be a lower bottom out drop. And the other thing too about the PlayStation 5 version, that 4K is checkerboard. I do believe the Series X is a native 4K image.
You would think they would say that on here if that was the case. Because on Stadia, they make a point to say 4K is upscaled using dynamic resolution.
Well, the thing about the PlayStation 5 version is Digital Foundry on the main demo said that the checkerboard rendering was one of the best implementations they have ever seen.
Okay.
It was almost native in how it looked.
Worth noting.
Very cool. Yeah. But if you go down like the Series S, you just can't do ray tracing, it looks like. If you go down the PS4, you get down to 900p 45 FPS. But really, it's quite impressive how they got this working across all the consoles pretty damn well.
Remember the rumor that the PS5 was struggling at 60 frames?
Oh my God, dude. I remember that very well. I remember that was Dusk Golem who leaked that story too. That was ridiculous that people actually thought that would come to pass. Metal Gear Solid official Twitter is teasing something, you guys. Speaking of Metal Gear Solid. So this guy on Twitter named Tom Olson is like tweeting at the official Metal Gear or just tweeting in general with like images from Metal Gear Solid 2 saying things like, came down to the computer lab to say hi, but there's no one here. They must be at a scrum meeting or something, maybe next time. Weird shit like that, almost like he's role playing. But then the Metal Gear official account says, Tom, we talked about this. Please check your codec each morning for meeting updates and evacuations in case of of PMC incursions, and we have visitors coming next week. So finish cleaning the vents and make sure the flags are all hung properly, but do not touch the C4 this time. And there was another one as well. I don't remember what the other one was, but it's implying that next week we're getting something.
Please be remastered collection. Please be.
It would work very well for me and my stretch goal that I just added. Yes, please.
Give us the Twin Snakes remastered.
Make it so I don't have to go on PS3 for all these damn games. I got to play Metal Gear Solid 1, 2, 3, and 4 on PS3.
And honestly, that's all I really want. I just want the ability to have the HD collection just come over. That's really all I truly want. I don't need to be a complete fully remastered. It could be a 4K image. I don't care. I just want to play them again.
Yeah. Amazon has canceled their Lord of the Rings MMO announced 2 years ago. That is because Liu, however you say their name, was acquired by Tencent, and they had some type of negotiations. They were trying to make it work. It fell through. So, oh my God, this team that's been working on Lord of the Rings for 2 years, just all of it goes to nothing because of this acquisition, which is kind of crazy. It shows another side of these acquisitions, right? Because we talk about, how it worked out with Xbox acquiring Bethesda, but Ghostwire Tokyo and Deathloop are still coming to PlayStation first. They acknowledged and respected that contractual arrangement. But in this case, this game that's been in development for 2 years just goes away.
Yeah.
That's a huge bummer.
It's a lot of hard work just gone.
Yeah, and a huge blow to Amazon Game Studios that just cannot get a damn game out.
Nope.
My God, it's just insane.
Especially one of their biggest IPs that they have too.
Right.
Like this is killer,
and they
especially
have a
with the show coming out.
Exactly.
Which they're investing $1 billion into for the first season alone. Absolutely ridiculous. PlayStation London is working on a new online next-gen IP. There you go. New IPs, guys, coming from PlayStation. They work on Blood and Truth, of course, which was a great PSVR title. Doesn't seem like this one would be PSVR, according to the story. This was based off a LinkedIn article, but always good to see new IPs coming. PlayStation isn't just relying on tried and true, AAA blockbuster IPs like God of War and Last of Us.
Is it Mag 2?
That'd be cool.
Could be, Tom. Actually, wait. Was Zipper based in US or was it UK?
I think it was US.
Yeah, I think it's US.
Okay.
Yeah, pretty sure.
Okay. Never mind then.
New details on episode Yuffie for Final Fantasy VII Remake Intergrade, you guys. Players can look forward to utilizing Yuffie's signature battle style in combat while they infiltrate the shadowy Shinra Corporation to steal powerful materia and restore glory to the homeland. I think this is like a really cool way to bring her into the early story, and it makes sense too, which I really enjoy. She's got elemental ninjutsu. She can change its affinity to fire, ice, lightning, or wind when it comes to her Shuriken, however you say that freaking name. I don't know how to say it, but her classic weapon. She also has an ability called Banishment, which unleashes an attack that does more damage based on how much ATB was spent before it. Similar to her unique ability, its elemental affinity can be changed with her ninjutsu. And she's got something called Windstorm. But there's also new characters that were introduced. One of them is named ZG. She's a Wutaian who acts as the point of contact between the new Wutaian government and Avalanche HQ. What's interesting is they're trying to show Avalanche HQ and how the main sector of it is trying to keep everybody safe and make the world a better place. Whereas Avalanche, that we know, is like this radicalized, terrorist group in a way that the main sector does not agree with. So I think that's kind of cool that they might develop that into further story, and world building. The other one is somebody named Neo, Billy Bob, Polk, and Weiss. The one that I thought was most interesting is this character that is obsessed with a board game called Fort Condor. Now, if you guys remember in the original release, Fort Condor was this kind of dumb mini game that you played at a location that later on became story important because it has a phoenix egg on top, which has huge materia inside of it. So people are theorizing, like, what does this mean for Fort Condor? Is it being removed from the game? I don't think it is. Here's my theory. I think this is their way of having like a card game or a board game or something like that, kind of like Triple Triad. Or Tetramaster, which I love, Blitzball, do something like that, bring it in here. So it's this lore that's being built about this Fort Condor that actually exists within the world, and maybe some lore about the Phoenix being on top of it, and them doing the world building in that way through the board game in part 2. And then for part 3, when you actually have Fort Condor, you no longer have that dumb mini game be a part of it, but you actually make it this really cool set piece location that has a great story and a great moment surrounding it.
Oh, but just give us our dumb mini games, Drew.
No, nobody wants. That's if they're gonna cut anything, cut that. That was dumb, dude. Make it a great board game that goes throughout the entirety of the series from this point forward. like Triple Triad, and I think that's really great. I think that'd be really cool.
Do love me some Triple Triad.
Yeah, and it's their way to
It's
bring
good.
tower defense in. Right?
Oh my god.
The hot mode that everybody needs.
Yep. We got 4 minutes left. I don't know if I'm gonna make this. Big Xbox exclusives are still years away, according to Christopher Dring with Game Industry. If you look at the games, I've got a Series X and I love it. I have a PS5 and I love it. If I play my PS5 because of the loads of exclusive games that I don't have on the Series X. And when you look at the Series X, Xbox has a lot of amazing studios and these games are coming. But I've had a few conversations with friends at Xbox Game Studios, and they are games announced like Everwild, Perfect Dark, Fable are so far away, as in they might even be in a new Xbox by the time these games come out. I don't know about that. That seems crazy. Come on, there's no way. Unless there's like a series, I don't know.
And a
yeah,
series
right,
O.
something like that, but not like a new generation of Xbox. Maybe a new series. They are so far away. When you look at the Hideo Kojima stuff, you wonder if they are signing third parties in the moment because they don't have a lineup of big exclusives. I'm going to talk about this a little later on. I'm actually going to take the one more level to talk about this, but that's not okay if that's the case. That's not okay. And I don't know why they just keep getting more and more rope. Let us know in the chat, guys, on the poll, which of the big Xbox exclusives do you think will release first? I think it will probably be Starfield, actually. That's my guess.
Of the list, yeah, probably.
Yeah, probably Starfield.
But it's you're right. It's embarrassing at this point. Like, just put out a game, for the love of God.
It's insane. After all these studio acquisitions, what do you have to show for it?
I get it. COVID is a
grounded
thing,
and bleeding edge.
Yeah. Yeah,
what?
terrible.
Like, come on. What the hell is going on? A new BioShock is open world according to a job listing. Let me fast forward my video here. We're catching up. We're catching up, you guys. So VG Chronicle writes, one of 17 openings currently available at studio is for a senior writer who will be charged with helping, quote, bring the world of BioShock to life once again. We're hoping to find someone who can weave impactful, character-driven stories in an open-world setting. AAA narratively driven FPS project full of character and personality, flesh out the designs and finalize the implementations for an urban crowd system and the systemic tribal ecology of a sometimes hostile AI. Combine handcrafted set pieces with emerging AI behavior to create a living world that offers players variety and at every step of the game. Nerve-wracking for me. You know, what I love about BioShock is how focused it is. It's a linear tale. It's very focused on telling that narrative. But if they can find a way to tell a narrative on that level in open world, yeah, man, do it. It's just, that's my problem with open world, is I feel like they conflict with each other, right?
I feel like you need to almost have like a dynamic story in a way, is
Maybe.
what you need to do with this. Was like, you would have to have like a story that has a set start and set end, but how you get there is going to be kind of like your own journey.
In order for me to make this in time, I got to rush here. IO Interactive is giving Hitman a rest while they focus on James Bond. But that's like, they kind of like are shady in this. It's like, is it dead or not? Like, they said they're still working on Hitman and they're going to support Hitman 3, of course. Mm-hmm. But it seems like they're giving like the mainline series a rest, is what I would guess.
He's taking a break, essentially, what's happening. Hitman 3 will continue, but they're focusing on 007. That's essentially what it is.
Which is cool. That's amazing. Mm-hmm. I can't wait for that. I can't wait to see what they do with that IP, with that character. And finally, The Last of Us HBO series will finish filming in summer of 2022, but it's starting filming this July. So that is a full year of film production on The Last of Us for one season, probably 8 episodes.
Yeah.
This, according to some people, this is the most ambitious production ever in Canada, which is absolutely insane because Canada films everything. Everything is filmed in Canada. So if this is the most ambitious production,
at least in Vancouver it is.
Yeah, Vancouver is insane. So if this is the most ambitious production to ever be in Canada, that means that this is going to be wild. Like absolutely wild what they're putting into this. Gabriel Luna has been cast as well as Joel's brother, Tommy. He is, of course, Ghost Rider. He was in Terminator Dark Fate. Great actor. And a great cast opposite Joel. Them being brothers makes a lot of sense. They even look a lot alike, I think.
Yeah.
I think it's a great combo there. I think they're doing really well with the casting so far, in my opinion. Agreed?
Mm-hmm. I agree.
Agreed. I love it.
15 seconds left. We did it. Speed run accomplished. There you guys have it. And we're like 10 minutes behind. We weren't too bad. We did pretty well today.
Oh,
guys.
this week's been pretty good.
Not too bad. Not too bad. That is the show, ladies and gentlemen. If you enjoyed it, please join us again live next month. Hit that hard button here at twitch.tv/The Level Up Show. Turn on notifications. Make sure you get those alerts whenever we go live with game streams and talk shows. If you're watching or listening to this as an archive. Subscribe on YouTube. Follow us on Spotify or Apple Podcasts or whichever is your service of choice. And most importantly, get on our Discord, please, guys. Become a part of this community. Even when we are not live, we have all those interactive segments as well. Halftime Hedge, as Tom said, we got to get more wagers in here. Got fake fans. If you guys want to get that SP, call us out on something we got wrong. It's all there. NLG's got game, even if you want to make suggestions for a new trivia challenges or new mini games, maybe a new category for me to add into Jeopardy to keep it fresh. Let us know on our Discord. And of course, we're in season 2 now. This is the start of season 2. Everybody's SP was refreshed, ranks refreshed, hours refreshed. So this is your chance to take the lead and try and win this season. Get a PSN card or some merch as a part of your victory. Type in !SP in the chat to see where you're at. Try and get that number 1 spot. Congratulations to, who was it? I'm trying to remember now. Who won last season? It was Duroc, right? Duroc, yes. Duroc won season 1, and congratulations to you. Lastly, we do have some major shout outs. Tom, go ahead.
That's right, Drew. We must go thank those who go above and beyond to support this show and make it possible. Our producers who support our show by donating $25 or more here on Twitch or on Patreon. Those followers are Agent Vincent 4756, fantastic individual.
Thank you, man. Thank you.
Boz023S. I never get his name right.
I think it's Baz.
Baz, if you're listening, I apologize. And Duroc11, of course. Thank you all. And if you would like to become a producer of the show, once again, you can support the show by donating $25 or above here on Twitch or Patreon. And you, too, can get a shout out and be considered one of our producers of the Next Level Gamescast.
Thank you, Tom. That is a wrap on Season 2, Episode 1. Next month, we return on May 16th for another episode of Next Level Gamescast. But it is not over yet, Snake. It is not over yet. We have one more level, everybody. Each episode of Next Level Gamescast will end with a final word, and I'm going to take it this month. Because I feel like we didn't really take a moment to apologize to Jim Ryan for all of the shitheads on the internet tonight.
Oh, Jim.
You know what? I'm actually going to treat this as a unique segment that happens every so often. A segment of...
Let me tell you something.
Let me tell you something.
Oh, boy.
You guys. Let me tell you something. We have given Phil Spencer like 10 years to build first party at Xbox. We just talked about it. How many studios have they acquired at Xbox?
What a few, Drew.
How many?
Quite a few.
They've acquired so many studios at this point.
More than a dozen, it feels like now.
Year after year after year, we're not really seeing the fruits of that labor. It's great that they're picking up these studios. The future looks bright, but when the hell does it begin? And I'm not really trying to like tar and feather Phil Spencer here. I'm just saying there's like clear inconsistency in treatment. Phil Spencer is the Lord and Savior to so many people on the internet. Take out your wallet, Phil. Take out your wallet. Bring it the Game Pass. Buy Square Enix, Phil. They worship him. Phil Spencer gets all this rope, and then Jim Ryan has 6 months on PS5. Decisions that were made probably even prior to him being in the position he is now a couple of years ago, and he's abandoning little games. He's only doing AAA blockbusters. Where's this? Where's that? How dare you, Jim Ryan, for losing Hideo Kojima? It's been 6 months. We have no idea what the hell is going on behind the scenes. We're in a COVID year. There's no communication as a result of that. We have no idea what's going on, but we are so quick to jump and try and demonize this guy, literally demonize him. People are asking for his head online, death threats, and to a lesser degree, asking him to resign. But even that's ridiculous. He has the fastest selling console of all time in units and dollar sales. And you want him to resign? Let's give it a year at least. Let's wait until COVID's done. Let's see what communication is like and see what's going on behind the scenes. Let's wait for the summer show and see what they announce. Sony doesn't give a shit about, what you guys people are saying on the internet. They've never been that way. They've never, ever been that way. when it comes time, they announce games and people forget about all that shit. Last of Us Part 1 remake, if it looks amazing, people will love it. If it comes with factions in Part 2, even better. If they announce a new IP, it's all forgiven. Like, let's wait. Let's give it at least a couple of months, and I would say at least a year of PS5 before we jump to calling for his head and pull out the pitchforks and all that. All right? Can we all do that?
Yeah, and you know what? I 100% agree with you on one of these points, and I think it needs to be underlined. Phil Spencer has delivered nothing.
Nothing.
He has delivered nothing. He's made promises and delivered nothing. He's like Santa Claus who never comes.
Yes, you know what? I talked about this on our meeting, and Phil Spencer gets a lot of credit, and he deserves it because he is the one deciding what to do with this money. But why does nobody talk about Satya Nadella? Why? This is the guy that is allowing Phil to pull out the wallet. He is the one that has finally opened up the war chest that has been infamously talked about for years and years. The Microsoft war chest of $150 billion. Satya Nadella is the one that opened that war chest and said, Phil Spencer, what do you want to buy? I'll tell you one damn thing right now. If I was given $150 billion by Sony and put in that position, I think I would do pretty well. I think I would do pretty damn good with it.
Yeah. I mean, you would think, but again, all he's done is he's bought things that are sitting there and haven't delivered any sort of net profit for Microsoft.
I'm sure it will go very well for him.
I'm sure it will.
It will. But we've given him a lot of leeway.
But currently, there is nothing there to be shown. Like at the end of the day, and the one thing I said in our meeting, what happens, Drew? What happens, Vince? What happens, chat? When we end up having that fanboys moment where at the end of the day, somebody pops in that game finally and we all look around at each other and say, but what if it sucks?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And I think we all said that when we saw the initial showing of Halo Infinite.
Which I still think that's going to turn out pretty good in the end.
I hope it will, because look, at the end of the day, I would prefer more good games than bad games. But honestly, has Microsoft shown any gameplay of any game right now to this date that gives you any confidence that we are going to see a very good library of games that are going to be exclusive to Xbox and Game Pass?
No.
Like actual tangible evidence aside from them just saying, we have these studios.
Right.
And the answer is no.
And here's the other thing you got to think about. Arcane is kind of tied up with Deathloop right now. Yeah, it's got a whole year exclusivity. No, sorry, 6 months. My bad. Not a year. Ghostwire Tokyo, if it gets delayed and gets to next year, that's still another game company that Tango Software, they won't be using this game. They won't be using that game for a while. Like, they don't get to have that perk on Game Pass. So, I don't know. I think it's ridiculous that.
Let me make one thing clear. It's on Terrence. Terrence is a complete fanboy, but we're not saying Xbox sucks. Xbox does not suck, and they're doing a lot of great things this generation. Phil Spencer's doing a lot of great things right now. They're making a lot of great promises. We got to see what those become. But Xbox does not suck. I just think it's ridiculous the way Jim Ryan is treated. That was the point of this. Let me tell you something. That was the point of this one more level. I just think it's ridiculous the way Jim Ryan is being treated.
And my jumping on is 100% again about how Jim Ryan is being treated, because it's extremely ridiculous how Jim Ryan is sitting there. He hasn't done anything wrong. And nothing that Jim Ryan has done to this point, as far as we can tell, that he personally has done anything wrong. I can be as angry as I want to be about the PSN store thing, but at the end of the day, like to an extent I understand it, and I can be as angry as I want about it. But that is not necessarily a Jim Ryan decision. Phil Spencer is getting so much leeway. To Drew's point, he has gotten so much leeway while this man is being asked for his job, and yet Spencer has not delivered a damn thing. He just hasn't. And I want to say, where are the games? Where are the games that Phil Spencer is giving us? We're Scalebound, by the way, everybody.
Yep. Thank you for intercepting my one more level, Tom.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I had to jump in.
I'm kidding.
I had to jump in because we did talk about that in the meeting, and it didn't get brought up yet.
And Ebony's Accuser, I would love to talk about studios that Sony should acquire, but we do have to wrap it up. But I did miss something. Thank you so much to Emma for the $10 tip. We did get close to 30-minute after show. Emma said, replace the Final Fantasy 16 ending of NLG intro video with Balan Wonderworld.
Oh, God.
$10 tippies. So I'll give 2 wheel spins to Emma right now. And we got bonus SP, which I'll turn into 100 SP since we're wrapping up. And another spin of 75. So 175 SP to the entire room. Way to go, room. Woo. That is the show, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for watching. We hope to see you back for season 2, episode 2 next month, May 16th. Ooh. Now you just think about that. That is my anniversary. May 16th. Next month,
It'll
May
be
16th.
The Drew and Kristen show.
We'll say. I think we'll be all right, but we'll say next month, May 16th, when we take things to the next level. Until then, take care, and as always, don't forget to level up, everybody.